The blind leading the
The stream
blind.
is live. Right, the stream is live, just popped up.
Is
Middle
it?
of the screen. The stream is live. So I think we are live now.
It confuses me. I would have thought everyone initially would have thought, surely there's something up here. No?
Exactly. I think that everybody knew to start off with that it was suspicious. If Chris is in the comments, if he does want to talk, I think he would agree because he did initially. Nothing, no harm in that. Anyone would think that way. You have to think that way, I think, because what was surrounding the case, where who did he go off with, and he went off with two. Am I allowed to say strange men, two hidden men? Because initially they weren't named, and then Ahab's picture showed up in the newspaper. I can't remember which newspaper it was. Yeah, so I just to go back to the chat, I will get the settings sorted out. It doesn't matter. I'm open, whatever you do, whatever. It doesn't matter. Great thinks you're in Beirut. That's why you've got an echo. Oh, I let the cat out of the bag. Sorry about that, Duncan. He's not in Iran. He doesn't live in Iran. Yeah, back to the subject. So put a 1 in the comment, guys, if you think initially you thought it was suspicious. Put a 2 in the comments if you thought it was an accident, or not an accident, but it wasn't suspicious, because obviously it's just someone going missing. Put a 3 in the comments if you had an open mind and you weren't sure. Hey, Lisa Payne, hi there. How you doing? I'm trying to make someone a mod. How do I do it? I right click or something? It's easy. I know it's easy because I've looked at these settings before. Sorry. Yeah, over to you, Duncan.
Well, I have no idea what a mod is, so I can't help you with that. The other thing, just sorry to keep on about this same subject, the other thing that I thought was really off was when we heard that Jay Slater went off with these two guys alone. And I kept thinking there's got to be a really good reason why you say to your friends, I want to go with these two people. Yeah. What are you going to do? And they all say, no, we're not going with them. We're not going with them, but it's okay that you go with them. And we've never found out the reason why. We've had all dancing around about, well, Brad had the key, so Jay had to go somewhere for the night. That turned out to be a total lie. I mean, come the inquest, it was all, no, we were at Magic Mike's and Jay told everyone, I'm going with them. I'm going with these guys. So we've already had lies about this. We've never got to the truth about why Jay alone, if it had been two of them, Jay and Brad, kind of makes more sense. I don't know, maybe the two lads want some kind of mountain adventure so they can write home and, share it on Facebook. They went up in the mountains. But I mean, generally in this crime situation, when you have the one person that splits off, your alarm bells are going off. It's like, why aren't the others joining you? Why are they happy for you to go off? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'll break it down to the basics. It has to be sex or money or both. That is usually why one person breaks off and says, I'm going for a few hours or the night with these other people. But if it's not sex and money, what is it? The whole story about him going for a last beer, another beer with these two lads. Well, I mean, you can have that party with Brad and your real friends. I don't think that anyone goes with Rocky and Ayub for a last beer. I mean, I just don't see that happening. If it's to have some kind of substance to get you even higher, again, it seems that all of that is available right there. It's not like I don't think there's some new, extra strong, fantastic, brilliant substance you've never had 20 miles away. Do you want to try that? Do you know what I mean? I cannot see, even if the explanation is a last drink to carry on the party, it doesn't make any sense to go 20 miles into the mountains to do that. What makes perfect sense is to stay where you are with the people. And if you can't convince them to have a party, you're not going to find someone in the mountains to have a party. It's more likely at 6:30 in the morning, there's someone your own age that wants to party on. I don't get, and I haven't got from day one, why someone on their own says, I'm going with these two 20 miles away. Nothing makes sense. Nothing. To me.
Nothing. No. Most people have put 1 in the chat. I can see a 3 there. They've said 3 foul play. Most people have put 1 in the chat that they think initially that it was suspicious. Sorry, Rosie's down there. You're right.
So, Aldon, let me just wrap this up a second.
Yeah. So money is the root.
The...
Money is the root of all evil.
Aldon, what do you think the accident group believe was the reason for Jay going up to Mascot? What did the... Because you're in the middle here. I don't really understand how they think, but you do. You kind of understand their point of view. If I've got it wrong, you correct me. But you're kind of that neutral person that says, if we can get some answers from the accident group, and this is a chance here, they're now going to give their answer. Your view is, if we can get some decent answers from the accident group, we might see why they think it was an accident. I haven't reached that point, but I'd love to see their answers. Why do they think it was such a brilliant idea for one of the group to split off and go up to Mascot?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if there is anyone in the chat who follows that theory, don't be afraid. You can put down, I don't block anybody's view. You can have the view that you want. If you want to add something rude to the chat, Duncan doesn't mind, I don't mind. So what was the theory? I'm open. I think that people probably know I'm in the suspicious group. I'm in the foul play group. That's the suspicious group, isn't it? Sort of. It's kind of in the middle, isn't it? But I'm open. If somebody convinced me, it's the same with you, Duncan. I think if somebody convinced you that it was a total accident, then you'd walk that way and you'd start believing. But we've got no evidence. We've got evidence that the police haven't looked at. In my view, we have evidence. In my view, we have some evidence, definite evidence. They won't look at it. We don't have evidence of him falling off the cliff. All we have, right? So if you wanted to commit a crime, and my heart does go out to Jay again. If you wanted to commit a crime, just kill somebody, lay them down at the bottom of a cliff with a bag, and then get someone to phone the police and say they found a body at the bottom of a cliff, and the police will go, oh, he fell off that cliff. We had a head injury. That happens, but there isn't the surrounding suspicious nature of what went on. So there isn't a suspicion. Someone's just fallen off the cliff. They were walking the dog or something. That's it. There wasn't anything surrounding the case of witnesses lying. We don't know why they were lying, but the police seem to think, in my view, that the police seem to think they were lying because they were dealing, or some of them were dealing, or one of them was dealing, or at least 2 of them were dealing. That's why they lied. Adley wasn't interested in arresting people or putting them in jail. But it was for me, there was just too much. There was just too much of a suspicion. It wasn't only that people were dealing, in my view. What over to you, Duncan? I mean, over to the comments. What do you think? I mean,
I think
just say in the comments, Lisa Payne, that would be great. I was going to choose you. I don't know how to do it, so I don't know how to make anyone mods. I don't think me and Duncan need them because we give as good as we get. Well, Duncan does. Evil man. But yeah, we're sort of open. We're quite thick-skinned. But yeah, it
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
handy, I
yeah.
suppose.
We don't mind any
You might
comments.
get
I mean,
kids. You might get kids
to
in the
me, it's
chat,
all
so we
fine.
don't
I
want
don't
kids in
think
the
you're going
chat,
to be
do we?
offended. So, Aldon, what I wanted to say was that if there was anyone that was somewhat suspicious when they first heard about Jay Slater breaking off from the group and going up to Damascus, if they were somewhat suspicious then, later on, when we heard that Ayub and Rocky were serious narco offenders, convicted, prison, jail for a long time, do you think the needle for anyone started to sway back to it being an accident? Or do you think with that news, the needle swayed even more to probably foul play?
For me, I didn't see the needle switch. There was one point where it did switch to an accident, yeah, and that was after Ahab's chat with Callan. Is it Callan? Callan. After his chat with them, I was drawn in. I was drawn in by Ahab. Then when it started to unravel that he hid things and he told lies, and he said himself about the rats and everything else. That's when it swayed back again. That's the only time it swayed towards the accident, because I think Ahab, funny enough, and you might not like it, but I think he's got nice in him. I think he's a nice guy, and he's got nice guy in him. I think he's had a past where he's been dealing, so his morals are on a different scope than some other people. But there but go, grace of God go I, although I've never dealt, I've never taken. But yeah, that was when I was hooked in after that. I don't know most of these people, so most of them have probably got nice in them anyway. But it's just so frustrating. And I know what people are going to say from the opposition, so to speak. They're going to say, well, who are you? What do you need to know anyway? Because whether people know, I did donate initially, because I thought it was to help the search. You can help me with this, Duncan. Was the search free? I thought the search was free. I didn't know they charged for the search over there for what they did and using the wrong dogs, etc. I've got some of those Guardia were great. They had families and they were searching, but at the top, same as they do here, if anything's to do with narco or killing people, my brother used to be involved in certain things. Certain people died. He was indoor security as well as other things. Certain people died. I won't say too much to name anybody. Certain people died, and the police treated it differently. You wouldn't hear about it in the newspapers, and they kind of did less. They did less of an investigation because something illegal was involved. The IRA were around then. There was a lot of gun running going on. They turned a blind eye. So the Spanish turned a blind eye. We know this from a professional, that's Peter Blexley. He said that this is true in foreign countries. And I know that. When I went to Dubai, I used to have to pay the police officers off. It was only something like 50, equivalent of about 50 quid or so, to stop the hassle and to get off with what they said was speeding, which wasn't speeding, or a road accident or something like that. It does go on. That was 1997. I do hope that it's changed. Africa, parts of South Africa, used to be really bad for police corruption. Whether it still is or not, you'd probably know more about that, Duncan. You've probably travelled as well. I don't know. Am I going off piste, Duncan?
No, I think you've got a point there, but your original point was, would anyone need to be charged extra? Would there be an extra service you could buy with donations as far as searching goes? I mean, absolutely not. I don't think the Guardia Civil had any more resources they could have put into that. So this is another red flag. It's when you hear Debbie saying that some of this GoFundMe will be to donate to the searchers. I mean, is that who are the searchers then? Is that Chris and Luggy? Because the official searchers, the Guardia Civil, the fire service, the bomberos, you know, the mountain rescue guys, whoever they are. It's like in the UK, they're going to do that either totally voluntarily, and they're not going to do it for extra hours if you get more money. You know, it's not like that. That is a service. The Spanish taxpayer has paid for that. It's like an ambulance service or a hospital. You know, they're not going to do any more or less according to a GoFundMe that's coming their way. So I think that part is nonsense. And I wish Debbie had taken that back and said, no, when I said that money will go to, you know, the searchers and the Spanish authorities, that's not true. It's going towards our accommodation. It's going towards the Dutch dog team. It's going towards the funeral. I'm fine with that. It only takes 5 minutes to draw up an approximation of where all of these funds have gone, but we never got that. So yeah, the search was the search. That wasn't gonna be any greater or lesser according to the GoFundMe. Just to go off on a bit of a tangent with the GoFundMe, my big problem with that is that what was contained in the explanation written by Lucy was lies. You know, when the first lines that you write, when you read in a GoFundMe, when it's not true, you're going to think, do I really want to donate to this? And people donated assuming what was said was true. But if you show that GoFundMe blurb to someone and you say, now, do you want to donate to this? Oh, by the way, the person that wrote this actually didn't go home alone and actually didn't go home early and actually was with everyone until 5 or 6 in the morning. Just bear in mind, this blurb is actually untrue. Would you like to donate to it? And you'll find half the people will say, well, hell no. If the whole explanation behind this scene, it seems written by Lucy, is a lie, I don't think I really want to donate. And that's another thing that pisses me off. It's like that was never taken back. We've never heard Debbie or anyone say, look, I really apologize. It turns out that certain things said by Lucy in this GoFundMe appeal is untrue. Why? Why is it so difficult for these people to say this is untrue? I don't get it. It seems like they're part of the cover up too. And it's a very simple thing to do, to correct yourself and say, Lucy got it wrong. Where's the problem?
Yeah, exactly. Just going back to the chat. Hi, Mike Byers. Mike Byers, please, you're on, boy. Thank you. Just a minute, Sugar Rape. I'm fine with what you're saying. I think Duncan's pretty thick-skinned. Sugar Rape's in there. Yeah, I mean, he has a different opinion than you, say, Duncan. Here comes DJ Ravers telling people what to do. Sugar Rape, I'm fine with that. If everyone else is fine with yourself,
I'm
in
fine.
the comments, then fine. Carry on. I won't boot you. What else? Somebody said about the Dutch team. In my opinion, Duncan, the Dutch team were a charity. Now, I thought they were a very small team, Somebody else seems to think they're a bigger team. I thought they were a small team. They're only going to charge for accommodation and plane ticket, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe that they survive on donations. Charity in the sense that surely they expect for them to go over to Tenerife and flying dogs and all that. Flying dogs is not easy or cheap too, that they will be at least reimbursed. I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing it's kind of a non-profit charity type thing. They're not getting their income from any government source. I don't know. Yeah, I would think charity. And
yeah, that would be Duncan. That's probably your department. All you need to do is contact them and ask them. Say you're interested. Blah blah blah. How much are you? Somebody's gone missing, or something like that. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Let's establish what it takes for them to get involved. Yeah, no one's ever asked that actually. But I don't suspect them of. I don't know how to put this. I don't suspect them of any wheeling or dealing as such. I think it's a genuine story that someone, whoever it was, connected Debbie with them, and said, you know, this seems to be a great, I don't know what the word is, not opportunity, but it's a situation where your team is probably going to find something that the others can't. But even, sorry, I have to go off on another tangent here. Even that is suspicious to me, because I would have thought, if I were the Dutch team, I would have thought, well, what's going on here? Why can't they find anything? I said in a video today, we still got this problem where Jay apparently left the Airbnb on a Monday morning, walking up the hill. Tuesday, there's not one single Guardia Civil dog that can follow that scent, that track. There hasn't been, you know, a week of rain and wind. There is no rational explanation why not one single Guardia Civil dog can find him. So my question there is, well, why does anyone think a Dutch dog is going to follow that track? That doesn't make any sense. So I don't know if Debbie was turning to the Dutch because she didn't believe the Guardia Civil had actually done a proper search, or if she'd been told that they are superior dogs and they will. I don't know the reason for turning to the Dutch team in this situation. I've never really got that either. I can only think logically it's desperation. 2 weeks are up. The Spanish said we can't find anything. And Debbie thinks, well, maybe there is a better dog team out there. That's all strange. I mean, the Guardia Civil dogs, if Jay had been there and walked up that hill, would have followed the scent. I can't get anywhere beyond that. And again, we've never had an explanation, not that the Guardia Civil explain anything, but we've never had an explanation from anyone, accident group, Debbie, Dutch team. We've never had an explanation of why that could possibly happen. How could it be?
Yeah, Julie Byers, she says, funny how the Dutch team found him. Sorry, they found him just before the Dutch team arrived. Do you think that was anything contrived, Duncan, anything, or just the way it happened?
No, I mean, I agree with Julie. It's just bizarre that the discovery of the body, I mean, the discovery of the body of Jay is announced just as the Dutch team are walking in that direction. It just seems an unbelievable coincidence. I do believe coincidences happen. I mean, it is possible. But in this case, we have coincidence after coincidence after coincidence. And there's another strange situation with this Dutch team. You see, they didn't start at the Airbnb, and hindsight is a wonderful thing. I bet the Dutch team and everyone, if we could go back in time, would have them arrive and start at the Airbnb and see if after 28 days the Dutch dogs could still follow a trail. Now, you'll hear two sides to this. You'll hear some experts say 28 days is too long, especially given the conditions in Tenerife. There was some rain, it was windy. There's a good chance that that scent has gone. You'll have others say, no, there should be enough for these dogs still to go, you know, in the right direction. I don't know about that. 28 days is kind of the gray zone as far as I understand it. But the point is, they didn't start there. So we don't really know if the Dutch team were on Jay's trail, on his scent. Where they started was where the phone pinged. And when they were there sniffing around where Jay's phone pinged, the Dutch said that the dogs could actually smell in the air Jay's scent. Now, I think at some point when Jay's body is retrieved, that smell obviously is going up into the air. So the way I understand it is the dogs were very distracted, and when they were then taken back to the Airbnb, it was almost natural that they went back in the direction where they had already smelt something that was off. I couldn't really figure this out. I did, you know, get in touch with them to try to get, there was a question and answer session, which people are aware of, I think. And I couldn't really get to the bottom of it, but it sounded like once the dogs had started in that ping area, they were distracted because the scent isn't all on the ground, you know, it's in the air too. They were distracted by that, and having gone back to the Airbnb to see if they would follow a trail, they were almost following where they'd already been. It wasn't a very clear case of whether those Dutch dogs were actually on Jay's scent or not.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry in the chat. I think they're all fine because they've got loads of questions, and I can't answer them all at once, but I'll pick out some. We're going over old ground, but I hope everyone's fine with that. I think it needs to be done because sometimes something new can be discovered when you think about something afterwards in a different perspective. So somebody said the GoFundMe started out at 10,000. Can I just give my view? And that was Juggler. The GoFundMe was initially set at 10,000. Can I just give my view about the GoFundMes? I'm not godly or anything like that. If somebody set up a GoFundMe and it has nothing to do with me, I'd probably take it. That is going to shock some people, isn't it? But I'd probably take it, or I wouldn't do anything. If it rolled in, it rolled in. That's not the problem. The problem is saying people can't interfere when they've collectively paid into the GoFundMe. They have a vested interest to find this this lad. So people aren't going to shut up when they have a vested interest, and they want to know, what's happened. Some people also wanted to know, what happened. Excuse me, the costing of the GoFundMe, etc. They wanted to know what was going on. Yeah, that's probably shocked some people, saying that I would, I'd take the money if people were offering it. Yeah, DJ Ravers, hi, how are you, mate? A few in the comments. Cupboard Tiger, well done. A scent can only be followed if it's fresh, and I'm with you, Duncan. The dogs needed to search from the Airbnb, and the Airbnb needs
okay,
to be
let me counter that. Someone's saying, if someone's saying when the scent is fresh, define fresh. Define fresh. How long a time is fresh?
Cupboard Tiger, define fresh in the comments.
Fresh is going to have a time limit. 1 day, 7 days, because whatever you write is going to be contradicted by someone. And I believe that Marika Krantz, the Dutch leader of that team in the inquest, you can check me on this, I believe she answered the question, yes, her dogs could and did follow Jay's scent. So let's watch the comments from the accident group here, and then we'll check back to see what Marika Krantz said in the inquest, because I was amazed. She came out, I mean, I'll double check as well. I'm pretty sure she came out and said yes when Adelie asked, yes, the dogs could still follow Jay's scent. And I was like, well, there we go. If she's saying yes, the dogs after 28 days could follow that scent, who is now going to disagree with her and say she's wrong? I don't know.
Yeah. Ladybug raises a good point. Hi, Ladybug. Duncan says hi, I'm sure. She's confused about Jay's clothes. We still don't know, or do we know? Were the clothes found beside him, or were the clothes found hanging off him? If they were found hanging off him, that's what would happen. If they were found beside him, that's crazy. I'm going to shock people now as well. I'm going to drop out of the accident group or sitting on the fence and say that I think that Jay's body was planted. It was planted, in my view. Yeah. It was just too clinical, and I do think there was something in DTR, is it, with the dogs barking, etc. Everything happening on that football weekend. Going over old ground, I do apologise. And Sugar Ape, he said, you're going over old ground for the last 15 months, Duncan. No problem. Just a viewpoint. We will talk about something new. There are lots of new things we can talk about. But going back, Duncan, do you think you think a lot of suspicions, and not necessarily what I think, but I presume you think the body was planted, or was the body not there at all, or was he somewhere else? Over to you.
I agree with you. I think he was put there, but when we say there, I'm still not clear where there is. So let me backtrack a little bit before I lead up to where there could be. I'm not happy with that absurd, grainy black and white photo. It seems to be the only thing that was presented in the inquest that says Jay's body was here. Now, it looks to me, that dry riverbed, that it isn't particularly difficult to access. That was my first reaction. I don't know. I mean, if it's in this great bowl and it is very difficult to access, so be it. But first sight was, what? It was found there? That doesn't look impossible to access. I didn't see this enormous amount of dense vegetation. I thought the story was the Guardia Civil had to hack through, vegetation to get there. It seemed like an area where if there was a body and a black bag, that a drone flying down there would bloody well see it. So that whole thing looked off to me. The second thing that looked off to me, really off to me, was that was the only visual we had. I would have thought, again, knowing that an inquest is coming, and this is a very, very controversial case, that the Guardia Civil or someone would have actually been down there with a video panning around to show us exactly what was behind, what was in front. I mean, if Chris is right, this is a very, very difficult place to access. It would have been good to see that this was a very difficult place to access. So my suspicious nature says the very reason we only have this black and white photo and no video panning around showing how difficult it was to access was because it wasn't. I mean, in this day and age, wouldn't you have thought, Aldon, that for an inquest and for a case like this, we would have had, the photos are plenty, a video, darn good ones at that, so that everyone was satisfied this is the place. So when I saw that in the inquest, I saw that photo, I was like, what, that's it? That's all we're going to see of the actual location of Jay's body? So I'm not 100% convinced that that was the place. And it always made more sense to me that if it was decided that this body had to be found, that they would have just placed it somewhere far, far easier and then come up with the story of, oh, it was inaccessible and, we didn't see it because it was covered by this, that, and the other. And we didn't have LiDAR maps or what other crap you want to throw into the pot here. Let's all mix it up and say, these are the reasons we couldn't find him. But in reality, I'm not sure it wasn't just put on the beach somewhere. We had this whole opera of, coming down with ropes and hacking through vegetation. I'm just not convinced. I think it might have been just plopped on the beach and, oh, we found him. Yeah, we found him. That's why you couldn't, detect the scent or something. It was in such a remote place. But no, I mean, to back you up on this, Aldon, if I just can't see, if the body wasn't placed somewhere, how for 28 days, with everything they had searching, they couldn't find it. I just don't understand that. It's not a vast area. Everyone keeps saying, well, it's vast, needle in a haystack, but it isn't that vast. I mean, again, you have the dogs, the drones, the helicopters, and all these people. You're covering an area, okay, difficult to access, but this is why they use the drones and the helicopters and the dogs. You're not just going blindly. You're supposedly, I mean, Chris told us he got in the mind of Jay. So once you're in the mind of Jay, you're actually following where he went. There's no needle in a haystack anymore. You're on that track. So you're on the track, and yet we still can't get to the body or have a visual of where it is or a drone flying overhead saying it's, it's just down there. We get none of that. It all points to me to someone saying at some point, we're going to have to find this body or a body, and then, concoct a story around it. That's the best I can come up with.
Yeah. I've never been there myself, so I can't really comment whether it was accessible. In the comments, Angela Harvey says 2 hikers went there. Can we talk to those 2 hikers? And they said it was easy to get there from the bottom. So we need to know exactly where it was. Perhaps Chris and Lugger can help us and tell us exactly where it was. I'd like to go there. If I do ever get out there, I'd like to go there and see if it's accessible. The trouble was I don't think we saw any photographs of the bottom, did we? We did see some photographs saying this is where he fell, etc. Mark Williams Thomas didn't visit the crime scene, which I find that hard to believe. He's visited crime scenes before. Why didn't he go to the accident scene? The accident scene. Why didn't he go to the accident scene just to see, because he was suspicious to start with. Why didn't he go there to see if there was anything involved? People aren't going to agree with that. And again, Sugar, just going slightly back, sorry, I go off piece sometimes I'm reading the chat, says about the 70K. Yeah, there you go, Sugar Ape. I agree with you on something. I don't think it was a conspiracy just to get 70 grand to invent this, whatever it was, to invent this disappearance or whatever else it was. I don't think Debbie was sinisterly thinking that that she was going to grab money off someone. It just happened. Lucy started up the GoFundMe, I believe. Did she have help from Rachel? It's a little bit immaterial as such. It was just from the start, because the GoFundMe was started straight away. God, I'm going over old ground, and I do apologise. But yeah, the money was there. The GoFundMe was started by Lucy, I believe. So yeah, so nothing sinister maybe, but it was sinister in the fact that it started at a figure and went up and up. And if he was kidnapped, if he owed something, the first thing that I would start would be a GoFundMe to try and pay back the debt. So that's why we have that suspicion, which you already know, and I am going over old ground, and I do apologise for that. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, hello, Joanne B in the chat. Lovely woman. Thank you for watching. Sorry, it was short notice and random. Yeah. Okay. Anything else about going to the place that he landed? And Duncan?
I'm with you on that. I would love to try it both ways. I would love to come in at that beach and try to do what we saw that family doing. And in that family video, it looked like there were two little kids in sandals or flip-flops, making their way up that ravine. I don't know how far they got, but I would love to do that. I'd love to try from that direction. I'd love to try from the other direction and see how tricky this V-notch and the man trap and all that is. Yeah, I would love to do it. I'm still not clear, by the way, when Chris and Luggy are talking about finding Jay, and maybe you know this, Al, were they on the track to find the point from where Jay fell, or were they always trying to get to where Jay's body ended up? When we see Chris huffing and puffing through, God knows where, is he trying to get to the point where Jay fell from, or is he trying to get to the point where Jay ended up? Do you know?
Nobody got to the point where, in my view, nobody got to the point where Jay ended up. He was presumably getting to the point where he fell and then left it there. I don't understand why someone didn't get a camera, or someone wasn't told where he actually landed and went down there with a camera. It's hard to believe, beggar belief. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you see, but the source of my confusion here is that when Chris is saying, the source of my confusion here is when Chris is saying, I got in the mindset of Jay and I had to figure out where he went. Well, as he's in the mindset of Jay and trying to follow where Jay went, that is heading towards the point that Jay fell from. And that seems to be that picture where the Dutch group said, the dog Fleck got here and he stopped and he looked over the edge. It's down there. Well, if that's the story, then Chris would have had no problem at all, or not much of a problem getting there. There's no man trap there. The Dutch team went there, Fleck stopped, looked over the edge, and the Dutch team said it's down there. So if Chris is following where Jay went, he wouldn't have had that much of a problem. Rather quickly, he would have got to the point where the Dutch team went. However, if he's trying to get to where Jay ended up, then he's not following where Jay went at all. That's a completely different route. That's the bottom of the ravine. So I'm a little bit confused. Do you see what I mean here? If Chris is trying to find Jay's body, that's one thing. If he's trying to follow where Jay walked, that's a different place. They're not the same place at all. That's a small issue. That's not a major issue. I think Chris is just confused. When he's trying to show us where he went, he's never made it clear to me, is he on the way to where Jay fell from, or is he on the way to where Jay ended up? I would just like that clarified. I've never really understood.
Yeah. Again, Chris can't answer that, and he'd probably be frustrated about you saying that, and I know he would. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of above me. The problem I have is the where the body laid last, passed away, wasn't shown on any media or anything. Even the newspapers, wouldn't somebody get a helmet on and a rope and climb down there, or they'd get someone to do it and climb down there and take some pictures? This is where he fell, not at the top with the memorial. You wouldn't film that. You get down right in the nitty-gritty. I'm not sure, and somebody can put in the comments, what did the police or the Guardia tell the mainstream media, whoever was there, where he actually laid and fell? Because a picture would have been taken of that, not a made-up AI saying this is the cliff, this is where his bag was, or bag was down by him, and showing it like that. You would get somebody there. It's just a bit strange that they didn't. In the comments, hi Sick, yeah, thank you, she always appreciates us. Duncan, Sugar Ape, yeah, sorry, I've got to read all the comments. I don't mind to have everyone in the comments agreeing is not good anyway. Sugar Ape says, Duncan, you turned on the family and you still claims justice for Jay. Jay is rolling over in his grave, knowing people are accused his family of all sorts. I've never accused his family of all sorts. Free speech, but I don't know. Maybe you can answer that, Duncan, or if you want to.
I'm happy to answer that. I'm happy to answer that, and I've been dying to answer this. So let me go. All of these complaints about you're turning on the family, or you're attacking the family, you're bad-mouthing the family. I'm going to throw this out there. Maybe the family have done some things whereby they deserve a little bit of heat and a little bit of attention, because I've had it up to here with the family. People speak of this family as if there's some kind of saint or brotherly religious group. They're not at all. And I'm going to say this because I believe it from the heart. Had this family from day one come 100% clean with everything they knew about this case, the people that Jay was with, and the whole background to it, we wouldn't be here now talking about this. This family are very much part of the problem and not the solution. And I don't believe everything that Debbie Duncan says. When she says things like, well, Jay was just on the fringe of that group, he never got involved in what happened to Tom Hilton. Okay, well, the judge and all of the witnesses that were there and all of the testimony and all of the evidence says he was. And that's what he got sentenced for. He didn't get sentenced for not doing anything and being on the fringe. So for the likes of Debbie Duncan that come out with this and expect us to believe it, I don't. So my point to the accident group is, do I attack the family on certain things? I do. Do they deserve to be attacked on certain things? I believe they do. I also believe you can grieve for your son, but you can also ask questions of those who are involved. I don't get this, we're grieving, and yet we don't have 5 minutes to call Ayub on the phone to get his explanation of what actually happened. I remember this moment when Debbie, she was asked, well, would you have any questions for Ayub Kassim? And have you contacted Ayub Kassim? And Debbie's answer was, well, I don't know if he's tried to contact me. My phone has been off. What? You expect
Duncan,
Ayub to contact you? I would expect the mother of someone's son who had just died in very suspicious
Duncan, we'll
circumstances
be right back,
to be
hopefully.
on the phone to Ayub, calling him.
I think there's a different. Probably wouldn't cry at a funeral. I would. There are some things that I don't cry on, some things I don't feel pain on. Something physical, I don't feel too much pain on, a high threshold. So if I was in a physical conflict, I'm not saying I'm the toughest guy in the world, but I I kind of, for some strange reason, I'm probably a sadist. I enjoy it. If you want to punish me, take me to a cinema with a weepy film with a dog dying, and then I'll start crying and I'll be fearful of everyone watching. I'll be yawning. Not going off the point there, but yeah, that's the difference between me and Duncan. Perhaps I can understand some people not following that and feeling upset about the way he talks about the family. I wouldn't say it in that way. I've already said that he says things in different way. I don't think he's focused on upsetting the family. I think he's focused on getting answers. Now, Warren was upset. I think we'd all agree with that. Warren, when he went to the Airbnb, he couldn't believe what went on, and he said it was BS. He said it was BS. It was suspicious. He did make comments, and he was happy to do his own little investigations. And when he was at the little hut thing, the stone hut with the dress and everything, and he made some good sense of humour, etc., he was suspicious, and they were going on the kidnap view. So come on, this is the family were suspicious, including Debbie, etc. So we've only done that. The fact that they stopped, they didn't really stop. They wanted answers from AM. They weren't happy with Rocky. They wanted answers. Yeah. So they were pretty much the same as us.
I disagree, Aldon. I'm going to have to disagree with you. I don't see that at all.
They were
I don't see
thinking
it
that way right up to the inquest. I don't think Warren wanted. Yeah, what about? What don't you see?
I don't see that Debbie wanted any answers from Ayub. If she wanted answers from Ayub, she's got his number. She knows everyone that knows him. She would have been calling him from day one to find out what happened to her son. She didn't say that. She said, well, Ayub hasn't contacted me. I never sensed any great urgency from Debbie to contact Ayub Kasim at all. The only time when I saw some kind of concern from Debbie to actually ask Ayub some question was at the end of Inquest Part 1, when she said, I would like him here so we can ask some questions. I don't understand why month after month after month after month goes by and Debbie hasn't been on the phone every bloody minute of every bloody day to talk to Ayub Kasim. Why does she wait till the end of Inquest Part 1 to say, well, actually, I would like to speak to Ayub Kasim. I'm not buying it out. She didn't, in my book, she didn't show any drive to speak to anyone that could have been involved in her son's death until after the inquest, when she was embarrassed because 5 out of 5 witnesses refused to show up. And then in my book, she suddenly said, well, now I want to speak to them because they didn't show up.
Has he frozen your end? He's frozen my end.
All those months, she had a great desire to speak to Ayub Kasim at all.
Put in the chat, it's Duncan. I've seen you frozen. I've seen you frozen. I don't know whether it's my internet or not. Put in the chat if Duncan keeps freezing. Also, Duncan, if you could read the chat, I'll read it for you. Not so Savage Shark. He said, and maybe you can answer some of those questions if you're happy to. I don't know whether you want Shark. I don't know whether do you want to come on screen and ask the questions? Sugar Rape, do they want to come on screen? Don't have to. It's up to you, Duncan. It's up to them too. Savage Shark said, you wasn't saying this before the inquest, though, Duncan. Sorry, what? Put down more about what you mean, Savage Shark, or do you know what he means about, was it about Debbie phoning Ayub or something? Over to you, Duncan.
I don't really understand. Is Savage Shark saying that I wasn't saying any of this before the inquest? That I wasn't saying any of this?
Yeah, put what you mean, Savage Shark. Not sure what you mean about the comment. Just add to it. Sugar Rape, you're saying Jay wasn't a saint either. You hypocrite. The family owe you no answers. No, the family don't owe anybody any answers, really, in a way. No.
Can I address that one, Al? Can I address that one, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Totally agree. Totally agree. The family do not have to answer anything at all. They owe me no answers. They owe you no answers. They don't owe anyone any answers. Same with Chris Tenerife. He doesn't have to give any answers. Luggy doesn't have to give any answers. All of that is perfectly true. The problem here is if you don't give any answers, if you refuse to give any answers, we have a vacuum. We have a lot of people with a lot of questions, and we have the other side that refuse to answer. There's the vacuum. What is going to fill that vacuum? Speculation, ideas, theories, chat, conspiracies, all the rest of it. All of that chat fills the vacuum because we don't have any answers. And so the accident group and the rest of them have a choice. Choice number one, we don't have to give you any answers. Fine, don't give us any answers. We'll talk among ourselves and we'll try to come up with answers because you won't help. Or option two, actually give some answers, be helpful so that we can all understand this a lot better. I've had it up to here with people saying, oh, well, we don't have to give you any answers. We know that. Fine, don't give us any answers. We'll come up with our own theories. What are you complaining about? It's one or the other.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat. What Shark said was a while back. I'm just trying to catch up. Sorry. It's not that easy. Where are we? Sorry. Hi, Scoobs. Hope you're well. Sorry, I can't read everyone's name out, but I'm pleased that you're on, Mrs. Doubtfire. Justice for Jay. Yeah, keep going, Duncan. Juggler. The speculation and conspiracy created the nonsense. The courts have given you the answer. Oh God, hang on. Go down a bit. Chat's moving. The courts have given you the answer, Duncan, but I'll answer that first. I've refused to listen because the courts weren't professional. The court wasn't professional. I said before, in some things they were professional, in a lot of things they weren't professional. The DCI checked the phone, did an investigation, didn't carry on the investigation. That was a joke. That was unprofessional. So no, I don't take what they say as being so. Yeah, I don't have to. I think it was a joke, and I think a lot of other people do. I have accepted it as such, because I'm not going to go on and on and on and on about the case. You know that. A fake. Pippa, I'm not sure about because she won't talk. She won't provide about the documentary, and I might not carry on any further. But to just say that we should accept what the court says, we would have done if things were carried out properly and a photograph wasn't checked, that everybody knew that that photograph was a fake. Duncan, over to you. Should you accept what the court said because they're professionals?
I can't accept the verdict.
He's frozen again.
And
is he frozen in the chat? Just say he's frozen. He's frozen to me, Mike.
You let me know, Aldon, if I've unfrozen. Just tell me. Am I okay?
You're unfrozen. Yeah, you just freeze now and again. You're like up sometimes, but you're fine now.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's a coroner's court. It's not a criminal court. There's no kind of jury that's listened to this and then deliberated. It is one person. Sadly, it's one person, and it's a verdict. And that verdict is what it is. I mean, we accept it, but it doesn't mean we agree with it. When you accept something, you're like, okay, that's the system. There we go. That's the verdict. Fine. It doesn't mean we agree with it. There are plenty of cases in history, of course, where people are convicted, they go to jail, and lo and behold, later it's found they never actually did it. So just saying the court has spoken, therefore it's true, is nonsense. It is one person. Adderley's come to his decision. It's a verdict. I don't agree with it. Many don't agree with it. That doesn't make it true at all. Secondly, when you have something like this, you have an inquest, and 5 key witnesses refuse to show up or don't show up on the first go round, and 2 key witnesses don't show up the second go round. To me, whatever verdict Adderley comes to is not based on all of the evidence that was available. he's going to say that he made his decision based on the evidence heard in court. It's always the evidence heard in court. In this occasion, the evidence heard in court is not the totality of the evidence. We had two key players that weren't even there. So if people are going around saying, well, the truth came out of Rocky's mouth? Brandon's mouth? No. The truth is still locked up behind those two mouths. And yeah, for me, doesn't mean a thing. That's a verdict from Adderley, and that's all it is.
And we all know, I know what I think about Adley. You probably do. Adley's really good in the chat. Let's go to Not So Savage Shark. Do you think Adley's good at his job? Just be honest. And also Sugar Ape. And anyone else? Is he good? Does he have
Can I answer that
vested
first?
interest? Yeah, you can answer because I know what you're going to say. Yeah, he's
No,
wonderful.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Adderley is really good at his job if we define his job as wrapping up a case neat, tidy, quickly, and dispatching with it so that there's no great controversy and it's all over. If that's his job, actually, Adderley is really good at it. If his job is actually to find out the causes of death in this case, he did a really bad job. So it depends how you look at it. I think a lot of people from the outside will think Adderley did a masterful job. And one thing he did really well was he turned Debbie around, it seems. Adderley was in deep trouble, end of Inquest Part 1, when he was saying to Debbie, here is Ayub Kassim and Stephen Rockes' statements. If we read those out in court, and that's acceptable to you, we can come to a verdict. That didn't work. When Debbie said, no, I want these people in court, Adderley was actually in deep trouble. So he very skillfully turned that around, Inquest Part 2, and he got what he wanted, and he got the whole family. He got Warren, Zach, as far as I know, Debbie, of course, nodding away that this was all an accident. So in that sense, Adderley was pretty darn good. Where are you, Aldon? You've disappeared from my screen. I don't know if everyone else can see you. Can anyone still hear me? Am I alone now? Where's Al? Okay, Jay's Army always says no, he's gone. What did I say that pissed off Al? I was actually praising Adderley for a second. All right, seeing as we're waiting for Al, I'll finish off my rant here. Adderley turned things around, and I don't know exactly how he did it. I would love to know from people in the comments if there was a change of heart. I mean, Warren seemed to turn to the whole accident idea. Debbie went from I need to speak to these people to, well, 3 showed up, kind of, that's okay. How to explain that change of heart between, I don't know, Inquest 1 and Inquest 2? What was the difference? I'll throw it out there. What happened in between Inquest 1 and Inquest 2, it seems to me, was Warren, Zach, and Debbie went over to Tenerife and had a powwow with Chris Tenerife and Luggy. Would that explain the change of heart, the change of direction? I don't know. Debbie also went over to Tenerife, apparently with a summons for Brandon Hodgson. Somehow she just could not find him. So we have this contradictory situation where our heroes Luggy and Chris, they are able to find Jay's body. And yet, that very much
Should be
alive
back
body,
as
Brandon
well.
Hodgson, they just couldn't
Am I
find.
back?
And nor could Debbie. No summons was handed over. How can that be? Al, you're back. Can you hear me, Al?
Yes, I'm back on as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I got booted. I don't know why. Something happened. Maybe it was my internet connection there. I don't know, but it's been going good. I think. Put down in the chat if it's been going okay. Put a 1 if it's been going okay. Put it a 2 if it's been going shite. I guess the people that are against us. Which I don't mind. I want to keep them in the chat because it's no problem.
It's absolutely no problem.
Debates
The likes
are okay.
of
It's not good having everyone in the chat agreeing with
Savage
us.
and Sugar Ape and all the rest of them. You know, I've been booted off Luggy's channel. They've been booted off mine. So I think a neutral field is always good for this. I have absolutely no problem with it. If you don't, Al, you're the host. If you have a problem, do what you need to do, but I'm fine with it. Okay, now you've frozen for me. Let me type in, can anyone see Al moving? All right, it seems like I'm not the only one that is having problems actually seeing Al and hearing him. So I will plow on. Yeah, so I was trying to explain how this turnaround. I've got to say, I was surprised. I think there was hope in our hearts, if you're the foul play group, that Debbie was demanding to see these witnesses. But there seemed to be a complete change of heart for Inquest 2 and that Inquest Part 2. And then I was confused why the barrister. I think we got excited when we saw a barrister. This was Debbie coming to actually fight her corner and get some real answers to real questions. And then it turned out the barrister, to me, was just asking a few questions to make sure Jay didn't go down in history as some kind of watch thief. It didn't seem like the barrister was really trying to get to any great truths or cross-examine anyone. But I mean, again, let's hear the accident group speak. If they see the barrister or saw the barrister as doing something else or performing a great duty there, let me know. I was confused by that. It was like the barrister's there, but for what end? Okay, Al, I can see you, but I can't hear you.
I did disappear. Sorry. Can you hear me okay now, Duncan?
I can hear you fine. I can hear you fine. Can you still hear me?
Am I muted or can people hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me.
Courtster says got him back. British Patriot says he's gone again.
Am I back now? Can you hear me okay?
Jay's
Duncan,
Army always, we can hear you. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I'll move the laptop. maybe it's a signal. I've got a signal. Okay, I don't. Yeah, sorry. Where were we? I've lost now.
I was in your absence, Al.
Was it,
I was rabbiting. I was rabbiting
yeah.
on.
Cool, that's fine. It's good to have people in the chat. You were saying that we don't boot off like in other channels. They would just go, oh, get rid of them, they're talking. No, it's fine. If you want
Absolutely.
to be rude, you can be rude, but I don't think people want to and tend to. If you want to put something down diplomatically, you don't agree, you don't have to disagree. I don't care. Duncan, are you okay with that? Yeah,
absolutely fine. This is one of the objectives that EP mentioned when he first contacted me, and I would still like to pursue that and get on TikTok, because his TikTok lives also draw in a very
you have an
crowd,
initial to and fro.
That's all good.
Maybe we're seen as the evil people, and we're seen as the people.
Yeah, no, so I don't have any problem with any comments, and it's good that we can have someone relatively neutral like you, Aldon, if you can appear again, to actually get this this debate moving. When Aldon reappears, I want to ask him about what is coming up. That was the whole point. This whole experiment tonight was just to see if we can connect by laptop on YouTube and do a live. But the number one question we haven't tackled is what to expect Sunday from the documentary, shockumentary, mockumentary, whatever it will be. I'll go first. I don't think it's going to come out the way Debbie and the producers and Channel 4 and the Accident Group think and hope. I'm just getting a feeling, and I think it was Scoobs that had noticed the same thing in a lot of comments from the snippets that have already been released. There's a lot of people that are now skeptical that although they might not have been following the case very closely, they're feeling that what we're hearing from Debbie just isn't adding up. So I don't think there is going to be this outpouring of empathy. I think there'll be a lot of that, yeah, but I think there'll also be a lot of people pushing back, saying this still doesn't make sense. But we'll see. We'll see. The other fear that I have is that it seems like the number one villain of everything is going to be the armchair detectives, and there'll be no focus at all on what went wrong in Tenerife. And if that happens, I think Channel 4 and what are they called? Candor Productions have missed the point. But we'll see. We'll see. You're back, Al. Have you changed device?
I've changed to my phone, which seems to be okay. Can you hear me now? All right.
Yep.
That's good. I will keep on my phone. I think it's a laptop. I don't know why I don't use the phone anyway, so that's all good. Hang on, let's get in the right light. There we go. Good. I'll get better at this as it goes. I do apologise.
That's okay.
Lou. So
Al.
Lou is saying, just read out Lou, sorry. If the family has said when they knew it was an accident, people might have stopped, but they kept quiet, letting everyone continue. So they kept quiet. Again, it's that keeping quiet business is going to make people more suspicious. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we've been through this before, so.
When you disappeared, Aldon, we started talking about, or I started talking about what is going to come out of this documentary. And I said, well, probably armchair detectives will be the villains number one. And I don't know. I said I think the reaction might not be exactly what Debbie wants. I think there'll be a number of people saying this still doesn't add up, and she's not being totally forthright. I don't know, but what do you think, Al? What will we be talking about on Monday morning?
I guess everyone's going to be analysing it. Some of the biggest creators are going to come out, and they've said, Wax has said he's going to analyse. We don't want to analyse it in a slagging off sort of way. We just want to analyse it for what it's going to be and what it is. And we know that the canisters in the bag, for instance, they weren't in the clip. Maybe they will be in the actual edited version of the documentary. They showed this was in his bag, but they didn't show the canisters. I don't understand why. Does anyone else in the chat know why? Duncan, why would they do that?
I think that the good answer about the canisters was that if this is supposed to be Debbie opening up that bag for the first time in the UK, which it obviously wasn't, but that's supposed to be how it seems for the documentary, then you're not going to be able to bring back empty or full gas canisters on a flight. So I kind of understood that the gas canisters have to be left behind. My problem with that whole thing is obviously this is staged and we don't know actually what was in that bag. What we see in the documentary snippet was the driver's license and the aftershave and the lighters and all that, but we can't be 100% sure that that was what was in the bag when it was found. You mentioned the gas canister, so there's one. If there's one thing that we were told was in there and Debbie opens up the bag and it's not in there, then the question is what other things were we told or could have been in there that in the documentary they're not even mentioned? I have a bit of a problem with that. It's all fake. I mean, obviously Debbie's not opening that bag for the first time, and that bothers me. This just seems to be a staged moment of heartfelt grief. Heartfelt grief, I would have thought, is a private moment. I do find it odd that someone wants to recreate a heartfelt, private grieving moment in front of the cameras. But there we are. Am I the only one that thinks this seems odd?
Yeah, it has one aim. The documentary has one aim. As I've said before, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, it's a production company. They can put out what they want, and they're not going to put out something that's going against the grain or against the family. One little snippet I found interesting is what Warren said. Looking back, you have to look back or something. What you probably already said what your view is on that. What's your view on that, Duncan? It was a bit odd.
It was odd because it didn't fit the rest of the narrative. So let me tell you what I think he was talking about, and then let me tell you how I think it fits into the documentary. I think what Warren was saying was that you don't expect this in Tenerife, like he said, bar, and beach. How can you get lost? I think that's what he said. How can you get lost? That's true. You don't need to look behind you until you do. And I took that to mean there are ways that you can get in trouble here. And this is what happened to Jay. The reason I think that might fit into the documentary is because they could be showing us how Warren and some others had their doubts. They were skeptical, but maybe by the end of the documentary, we're going to hear Warren say, yeah, but even though you have to look behind you, in our case, it was still an accident. There was no great mafia that were trying to sort Jay out. I don't know. Do you know what I mean, Al? If that statement is on its own, then it is weird for Warren to be saying that in a documentary that's trying to show it was all an accident. But I've got a feeling we'll see two sides to Warren. I think part of this documentary might be old Warren, part of the bad crew, asking questions, skeptical, not convinced, and maybe the end of the documentary will see Warren nodding in agreement with Dr. Adderley. All's well that ends well, kind of thing. What do you think?
It depends at what point he said that. Warren's always been suspicious. So it depends at what point he said that, when they filmed it within the documentary. I know they were at the inquest, and people who were at the inquest could probably answer that one. They had all the cameras around. So did they interview him after the inquest, or was that just before the inquest? That's probably fairly important. Maybe Warren was expecting something to happen more so at the inquest, and that would lead to an investigation. So we thought that it would be an automatic investigation when DCI Hickson found out about all the suspicions, and we thought she'd called an investigation. I think Warren was under the understanding. I don't think he operates in the same way as Debbie, in the same mindset. I think he was more so, he wanted to know what really happened. I think she was maybe a little bit different. I don't think they totally got on with each other. They were split up. But I know it's funny saying, but I don't want to go into that because I don't feel comfortable. That's a little bit of that's kind of private, but it does have a link to the case. What do you feel? What does everyone feel about that? Oh, and also the little one, Lou said, this is easy to answer. Anyone can answer this. Did Jay smoke, or did he vape? Because I think in the photograph, the blanket photograph, the famous blanket photograph, we're going back some time now, was that a lighter? So, do you know, Duncan, whether he smoked or not? Oh, sorry, there's two questions there, mate.
I think probably both, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't know.
I thought he did smoke. I thought Debbie may have mentioned that he smoked. Don't know.
I mean, we have Ayub saying that Jay went out to get cigarettes. So if Ayub is speaking the truth there, he's a cigarette smoker. We have his hand with a cigarette in his hand, if that is Jay's hand. So we know that for sure. I haven't seen him with a vape. I've got to say, I haven't seen that. Has anyone?
No. Just answer Sugar Ray. Yeah, he appreciates me asking you that question, so it is getting through. There is dialogue there between you and Sugar Ray, and some people that deal through differently. He says that I'm a bit more level-headed, just different. That's all, more diplomatic maybe. But yeah, can we find out whether Jay smoked or not? Because he wouldn't have a lighter in his hand. That's a simple one to answer. If anyone is listening who went to Tenerife, Lucy, is there anybody listening who could answer that simply from the family? It'd be somebody. Sorry, frozen. It'd be great. Hilton has commented before in my comments on one of my recorded videos. It'd be great if we could get him in. Sorry, I'm rambling on. Sorry, I'm taking over a bit there, Duncan. But maybe Tom Hilton was there. Yeah. Maybe he had nothing to do with what happened to Jay. Maybe he was just there because he was friends with people, friends with Brad. Maybe he was there at the NRG concert. Maybe he's too scared to say because he thinks people had something to do with it. I don't. So if he's around and if he could clear that one up, he's the only one that can clear that up. Maybe. So maybe if you were there, explain that you were just there as a mate. Duncan.
It's the same situation for me, Tom Hilton, as LK, and that is it's it's very hard to stay out of camera shot day after day, no matter how long you're there in Tenerife. But it seems like Lewis Kennedy and Tom Hilton, if they were there, managed to do that. You would have thought that someone along the line would have said, "Oh, good God, look who's in the background of this photo here. There's Tom Hilton." And I mean a clear shot, not the back of the head with is that the scar that Tom Hilton has, a clear shot. So to me, it doesn't look like that Tom Hilton was there. I'm not saying he wasn't. I just haven't seen anything. My eyesight's not good. And when I look at some of these photos and people say, look, that's clearly Tom Hilton, I look and say it's not clearly Tom Hilton to me. I just don't see it. I mean, from a logical perspective, if Tom Hilton had planned all this, I would have thought the people that are actually going to do the deed, if you like, would say the best place for you is to be nowhere near Tenerife, unless, unless you want to be the person that ends Jay's life. If the higher ups, the theory is that Tom's dad on his deathbed said to the likes of Lee Tabera and whoever might be connected to that family, my dying wish is that my son is avenged and, Jay Slater be one of them. If that actually happened, you'd have thought some big cheese like Tabera would say, well, Tom Hilton, you stay as far away from Tenerife as you can and our boys will take care of it. It doesn't make a lot. What makes a lot of sense to me is that there was a conspiracy that Tom Hilton had a good reason to get rid of Jay Slater. Could well be. It's just never made a lot of sense that Tom Hilton would insist on being present on the island of Tenerife when this happened. So I don't know. I'm on the fence on that. If someone said suddenly, yeah, there's a photo of Tom Hilton and it's clearly him, I wouldn't be that surprised, but doesn't make a lot of sense as far as a big plot to get rid of Jay. I mean, Tom Hilton shouldn't have been anywhere near there if that was the idea, but I don't know.
Just going back to chat. Hi, Catherine Lane. Yeah, you're a star. Thanks. Just going back to the chat. DJ Ravers asked, I was fixated with sugar rape. Ape. The reason I'm saying that, I'm just putting him as an example that we don't bump people off the chat. We allow everybody to have a say. Everybody has their view. So that's why I raised that. There was some confusion about vape and smoking. We're just trying to find out whether he vaped or smoked. It wasn't a big deal saying, oh, you knew that Jay vaped because he had vapes in his hand when he was dancing or something or other. But we're only asking the question. So that's all we're asking, which is a simple one to clear up. That's all. So, sorry, just reading the chat. Just mention a few people. Kai, hello. Teresa, hello. British Patriot, who's always on my comments. Pinky Angel. Sorry, I'm trying to read as well. Amanda, Lou, Matt Perney, Claire listed. Sorry, there's too many to mention. Sorry, go back to you, Duncan. Sorry about that. Off piece a bit now.
So yeah, with to me, I can only say what I feel, and that is that it does make sense that someone like Tom Hilton would have wanted to get rid of Jay Slater and would have chosen Tenerife as the place to do it. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be a motive. And revenge is a very, very powerful motive. You have these people that say follow the money. It's not always money. Revenge can be a lot more powerful motive than money. But that said, I just don't see Tom Hilton as the guy doing this. It makes more sense to me that Jay himself got in trouble there, and it could have been the money side of it. It could be the missing bag, but who knows what it was. But I've got a feeling Jay got in trouble there on Tenerife, and he was mixing with the wrong company. I don't know what you think, Al. I mean, there are people that say that it was never intended that Jay would actually die. Maybe it was supposed to be a punishment beating, or, stab in the leg, or I don't know. Are you on board with that? That this could have been a death that went awry? It never was supposed to happen.
I,
And we've got this gang now trying to cover up a death that wasn't supposed to happen. I mean, is that a
I
possibility?
said that. I said that at the beginning. I said that at the beginning. Perhaps it was an accident that went wrong. I'll tell you what I am surprised with. I'm surprised that you believe that Tom wasn't there. I'm again, I'm one of those, I need proof, I need evidence, I need to know whether he was, because I don't know whether he was. We've all got our hunches whether he's there. Some people will definitely say he was there, he was there. Yeah, I am interested um, to hear that. That's why you think things through. So you think that Tom wasn't there. It's just something that surprises me, because everyone else within, I think most people within the accident group, and we can put this in the chat, put a 1 if you think that Tom Hilton was there, put a 2 if you don't think that he wasn't there, put a 3 if you need evidence and you haven't got a clue whether he was there or not. I'm swaying, and I know I said I don't know, but I'm swaying for a 1. I'm swaying that he was probably there because he's friends with Brad. Something may have happened, and he may have, I don't know, they may have had a fight. Somebody may have had a fight. And as you say, it may have been an accident because somebody might have gone too far. I
Yeah.
know of somebody at a football match, right? At a football match, had a square on fight with someone, smacked them once in the jaw. They went down, hit their head on the floor, went to prison because they died. It can happen. Trust me, it can happen. So in the chat,
Yeah.
put down a 1, 2, or 3. You don't have to, but it'd be interesting to see what people think. I think how many people have got in the chat has gone. It did say how many there were. I think there were 80. I don't know how many there are now. What? Yeah.
Finally, Aldon, I think we have a finally, Aldon, I think we have an area of disagreement between us.
Yeah.
I don't think Tom was there. Um, Al, when you first saw the photo of Jay in the back of the car, did you think that was Tom Hilton, or did you think? I've heard you say, Aldon, I've heard you say that
Tom
that
Hilton.
photo
Tom
is
Hilton.
not Jay. You've been definitive on that, and I was one of those that
Definitive. That
says,
is not Jay. Not Jay. In my view, I think Warren may have said it was Jay. Okay, you're his father, but isn't always the case that people recognise their own families. Sometimes they don't. I thought it was Tom Hilton. I was at a toss up whether it was Tom Hilton or Brad. It was a bigger face. That's why I think Wax was saying he was beaten up and it looked like he had a beaten up face, a swollen face. No, it was a bigger face. He had a little growth, a little tash, and in the funny photograph we said was fake, he was clean shaven. He had a little tash. His hair was kind of like Jay in a straight way, but it just looked flatter and he looked wider here. With the glass, it looked like Tom Hilton to me. It could have been Brandon. Did I say Brad? It could have been Brandon. I think Tom Hilton. What do you think it was Jay then, Duncan?
um, I don't know how to put this. It didn't look to me. I mean, I'm not good on visuals. It didn't look close enough to Tom Hilton for me to think that was Tom Hilton. Tom Hilton's face has changed. In the more recent pictures, he's got quite a biggish, fattish face these days, and the earlier photos of him, to me, look quite different. So, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure which Tom Hilton we're talking about. But yeah, I know what you're saying. That kind of fuller, bigger type face was more Tom Hilton, but it didn't make me think that's Tom Hilton. Um, I don't know. I actually thought that it could be Jay who'd been punched in the face, but all I can say is what amazes me is if that were Jay in the back of the car with the glasses on and the fuller face, how did he get from that to very shortly afterwards, because remember, Ayub zoomed it when he went to Masca. So very shortly after that photo, we have Ayub's photo of Jay in the back of the car looking completely fresh-faced, smiley, and alert. Those two don't go together to me. If Ayub's photo isn't photoshopped and that's the real Jay went from that back of the car look to, you know, completely refreshed and different a few minutes later. That can't be, I would have thought.
You've frozen, Duncan? Is he frozen? Everyone in the comments? He might come back on. He's frozen to me anyway. I don't know if he is. Sugar Rate, stop arguing with Lou, will you? Lou's a friend of mine, so she is important to me as such. Don't argue with her, please. I can boot you if you want. I don't want to boot anyone, but I can boot you. But leave it out, please, mate. Lou, you numbnut. Come on, man. Come on. It's a chat. Don't just leave your differences, yeah? Leave your differences aside. As we were. Arguing in the chat.
So Aldon, if I can just add one more thing to this discussion about the photo in the back of the car. I'm sorry to go on about this. It's just another thing that I would have thought Debbie would have wanted to investigate, because when she said, I'm not sure that he's even conscious in that photo, I mean, I would have thought she'd want to know, if he's not conscious in that photo, what the hell's going on? What's the hell's been going on this evening that he's slumped in the back of the car unconscious? But that didn't seem to open up any investigation. You know, when Debbie was asked, well, is that Jay? She's like, well, I'm not sure that he's even conscious in that photo. And that seemed to be the end of it. I was like, well, come on. If he's slumped in the back of Ayub's car at 5 or 6 in the morning and you're not sure he's conscious, aren't you then curious to know what the hell is going on? That's just my take.
Yeah, definitely. We had some mostly ones for being Tom Hilton in the NRG. We had some twos. So there's loads of comments. I didn't see any threes. Ones. So the ones have it at the moment. That's probably why most people watching have views of you and I do as such. But it's interesting to see that you and I disagree, Duncan, on things. We don't insult each other over it, so fine, no problem. That's good. That's good to have. We're not the same. We don't think in the same way. Me and Duncan, if we did have a disagreement, we could have a disagreement. So people tend to tar everyone being the same, and we're not. All right, let's call a truce, Sugar Rate, to other people. Yeah, you can, please. Let's come up with something fairly new, Duncan, that's happened. We've gone over some old ground, and it's been good to cover the old ground because new things arise. You make some good content. You made a lot later. You can keep going and going. I suppose it's the documentary that's coming up and what's happened there, really, and the aftermath of the inquest. But also, what's in my mind is about Pippa Harriet. Hello Pippa. If you are listening, if you do want to come on, I don't know if she emailed you at all, because I don't regularly chat to you. Has she emailed you with any proof at all?
No, and I might disappoint a few people here, but I'm not that eager to keep digging into this, because I just have a feeling whatever Mia the voice or Pippa might send me is going to be another inconclusive text or photo that could be from anyone or anything. At this point, we've gone down a lot of rabbit holes of, here's evidence. Well, it's not real evidence, and I've just about had enough of it. I will tell you something. There's a bit of an eye-opener. I did get an email from someone claiming to be Lucy, and the email said, I can't tell you anything about what happened there, but everything that Mia said is basically true. Now, the reason that doesn't ring true is because I can't imagine Lucy saying that. And it was another one of those outlook.com addresses, which is the same as what Pippa and Mia have. So I think I got a fake Lucy email. Pretty sure it was a fake Lucy email. Could have been from anyone. But I think that just shows you that this Pippa Mia the voice thing is a bit of a sideshow. We're not going to be able to get to the bottom of it. The only thing that I thought sounded genuine, and I think Mia sounded very convincing, was when she started to go down the track of Luggy and Chris are both involved. When she said Luggy has known Lucy for 5 years, it made me think that could be true, because maybe Luggy knows someone in the family, whether it is Lucy's mum, dad, grandmother, I don't know. There could be a family connection there that no one particularly wants to talk about. But again, proving it or disproving it, I'm not sure how you would do that. And then the other one that sounded convincing in the live was where Mia was asking Chris directly, you do know me, don't you? I'm Lucy's friend. She was very, very much up for asking Chris directly questions about, what Chris's role was. So she may know something, she may not, but it didn't sound to me like she was faking that part of it. It sounded like she wanted to get back in the chat. She did. She wanted to confront Chris with, you do know who I am. I'm Lucy's friend, aren't I? And Chris disappeared. I think, Chris had something to drink and he didn't seem to want to field that question. I was surprised that he didn't come instantly back with, no, I don't know who you are. I've never met you. You're an imposter. He didn't. He was like, well, I don't have to answer your questions. It was a bit of a limp response from Chris if he really didn't know her. So I started thinking maybe he does know her. Maybe Lucy has this other friend called Mia. I mean, if you look at Lucy's friend list, there's more than one Mia. Maybe Mia the voice is posing, for whatever reason, it could be a good reason, posing to be Mia Hunt, who's just had the baby up in Lancashire. But maybe she's another Mia, but maybe she does know that Chris was involved with something. She was hinting at, he's involved with bringing girls over, taking their passports. This is all that she's alleging. She was trying to say something like that. She was saying she hasn't been able to leave Tenerife for 3 years. I don't know that I believe that, but it just surprised me, Al. I don't know if you heard that live. It just surprised me how up she was for confronting Chris with, you do know me, don't you? Did you hear that bit?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree slightly as such. We have no evidence of Mia. Yes, she was convincing. We have no evidence of Mia being who she was saying. Whatever she was saying, we've not no evidence. I'm not sticking up for him, but I will say Luggy did some research and found out that Mia wasn't Mia, or somebody did. Mia wasn't the Mia that we thought she was. So I'm going to have to hang out my view and say Mia's a fake. Unless Mia, you can prove otherwise. Pippa, not so sure about. Still waiting for her to talk and waiting for the evidence. She could, I don't know, even if we could hear her voice, that'd be great. That would be something to go on. But again, no evidence. I can look at it suspiciously, and but I don't. I just, there's just no evidence of what Mia was saying. It's yeah. I just can't go on anything. That's how I feel.
Okay.
Is that
Aldon, hang on a second.
yeah.
So let's go with that. There's no evidence of what Mia was saying. So what could possibly be her motive? Because now she's on record of having said it was Tom Hilton that did it. I mean, does Mia the voice have no clue about the consequences of saying this stuff? Is someone paying her to come out and say this? I mean, what could possibly be in her head for saying this stuff?
Yeah. Again, no evidence. I could come up with something, couldn't I? Just to increase my popularity. You could say that. You could say something. Um, you raised an interesting point of what she said. Now, what was it? That she just come out with something that wouldn't. It wouldn't sort of be something that you could make up. I can't remember what it was. Can you remember what that was now?
No.
What was it she said? Something she made up about something that was. It was just something random that something that you just wouldn't invent. I maybe she got things around the wrong. We can't because she's got a different. Apparently, she has a different profile picture. She has Mia with the baby's profile picture. We don't know whether Mia with the baby knows because you would know, wouldn't you? Somebody would have told her that somebody's using her profile picture. So that could work in the favour that Mia is telling the truth, and Pippa is using this other Mia and saying, "Oh, you get on with it. I'm fed up with all this. If you want to say what happened, then I'll use you, Mia." That may have happened. What do you think about that? Why doesn't Pippa, not Pippa, why doesn't the real Mia as such, who has a northern accent, say, report this other Mia for using her profile picture on Facebook?
Exactly so. Exactly so. So we still have two mysteries here that would be very easy to resolve. Why is Mia with the baby in Lancashire not saying anything and not outraged about some other Mia stealing her profile and pretending to be her? That is a pretty bad thing to do. But as far as I know, none of Mia with the baby's family has said anything. And I mean, I'll say it for the 10th time, the person that can resolve all this is Lucy. She can just say, this Mia is my friend from here. This other Mia, I've never heard of her. I don't know her. Or she also did work with me in Tenerife. I do know her. Lucy can answer all this in the next 5 minutes if she chooses to. And if you remember, Luggy was quite happy to be Ayub's spokesman when he started to say, well, Ayub has said that he will appear in the second inquest and Ayub will do this. For a while, it sounded like Luggy had become Ayub's solicitor and spokesperson. So I don't know, why can't Luggy just be Lucy's spokesperson? If Lucy doesn't want to actually say it herself back to the camera, why can't Luggy just contact his gal Lucy and say, what's the truth here? It's very easy. I mean, all the accident group are saying, well, they don't owe you any answers. No, but here we go. Let's spend the next month talking about what Lucy could resolve in 5 minutes. Who are these Mias? How do you know them? And why do you think Mia the voice is saying all this? There's a part of me, Aldon, that says Lucy doesn't want to intervene in this because some of it, uncomfortably, could be true. But I don't know. Maybe Lucy's at the point where she thinks she can't say anything about anyone. Did anyone ever find out, Aldon? Did anyone ever find out what Lucy's condition was? She couldn't. Was it she couldn't face the camera in the inquest, or she couldn't come to the inquest, or she only could do audio in the inquest because of her condition? Did anyone find out what that was?
I thought I was led to believe it was it her mum who suggested she didn't show her face. I didn't know there was a condition, to be honest. Maybe I haven't been keeping up with it recently.
That's all I remember. That was from the Inquest Part 2. Lucy spoke, but I don't know if she was on camera. I'm not sure that I don't know. I don't know if it was video, but she wasn't facing the camera. There was some reason that her testimony had to be different, and it was described as because of a certain condition or her condition, but it was never explained. Don't know. All a bit off with what's happened to Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy could clear it up. It would work in her favour if she said, "Oh, Mia's a fake, blah 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 blah." She's not my friend. But then again, they wouldn't be a friend saying the things that they're saying, and maybe it's not a good idea because Lucy would probably say, "Yeah, I don't know them," just to shut them up. We don't know. It
Yeah.
seems, yeah, well, just need evidence, really, don't we, on that one?
I mean, here's Juggler. Here's Juggler saying this is all hearsay. That's my point, Juggler. It's all hearsay. Let's have the person that can settle this, Lucy Bay Gregory Law, just tell us all who the two Mias are and what's going on here. So Juggler's now making my point for me. Yeah, for goodness sake, this is all hearsay. Agreed, Juggler. This is all hearsay, and that's what we've had for 15 months. And some of us would just like a responsible person to show up and say, I can resolve this. This is the Mia that is in Lancashire. I know her from here. This is the other Mia, and I know her from here. That's all it takes. So, yeah, Juggler, agreed. It's all hearsay, but it's your side that can resolve it.
Yeah. Hang on, I just responding to the chat. No, just saying I might have to delete a few people because of the staff people arguing like little children in the comments. Be constructive if you can, please. Yeah, sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Yeah, so it's I don't know. Let's wait and see what the documentary comes out with. I think we can all guess. Yeah. It's funny how Chris said that all will be revealed, and there is something in the documentary which will convince us or take us down the pathway that it was an accident. I wonder what that is going to be. Is it the text, perhaps the last text that was sent supposedly, allegedly to Debbie?
I don't know. We have to be a little bit. Aldon, we have to be a little bit careful with what Chris says, because Chris has also said it will all come out in the inquest. It will all come out, blah, blah, blah. It's always going to come out. It's always about to come out. And we're all going to be humiliated. We're all going to feel, that, oh, if only we had known this. I don't think Chris is right. I don't think it will all come out in the documentary. I would like to be proven wrong. If in the documentary we actually get to see Chris with a body cam showing us exactly how far he got, where he had to stop, those 500 meters away from where Jay was actually found, and show us what rock faced or what was it that was stopping him going any further. If we see that in the documentary, that's good. And if Chris is right, we're going to see something, a total revelation that no one had seen before or thought about before. I'm on board with that. I hope it does happen. I've got a feeling it won't. And I've got a feeling that, Chris is just leading us down the garden path. And after the documentary, we'll all be saying, well, we still didn't get the answers we want. But I don't know. Aldon, you sound kind of optimistic. Am I reading you right, that you think we're going to hear one or two things that will confirm, I don't know, what happened to Jay?
Not at all. Not at all. I was just mentioning what Chris said, that's all. I don't think there'd be anything to convince us. So no, I'm not optimistic. I'm just mentioning what he said. This live, I don't think it's recorded. It's Noble clips it. I don't know how it works. I think you have to subscribe to actually get this recorded. So this will probably disappear. It won't be the last live. I want to get Luggy on and Chris on in a sensible way to answer some of the questions that you have, which we were going to do on EP's Live. Whether we do it on one of my lives that I create or whether we do it on EP's Live, I think it's something that needs to happen, especially after the documentary. I don't know how you feel about that, how you would feel. Open some dialogue. Might initially be some back and forth, but then if we get over that, you're going to beg to differ. You're probably going to hate each other for life anyway. But if we can get some sort of dialogue and some simple answers to what everybody's been saying, we'd like that from the witnesses. We're not going to get that, I don't think, pretty much so. But they're welcome to speak. Lucky and Chris are welcome to speak. Even we've probably got time now. If they arouse up in the comments, they can come on. If I can work work this on the mobile phone, it's different. It's smaller than the laptop. But if I can, I'd have them on, and we could speak to them. What do you feel, Duncan?
Yeah, I think, Aldon, we've reached the point. I agree with you 100% on this one. After the documentary, when we've all had a good chance to listen, think about it, dissect it, reflect on it, I would dearly love for this same thing to happen, whether it be on TikTok, EP, with you here, with Noble, doesn't matter. I can't host, I'm not technologically capable, but I would love to have Chris, Luggy, anyone from the accident group do exactly this, because a lot of time is wasted whereby I will put out a video and I'm trying to make a point. Luggy will put out his, well, he doesn't do videos anymore. He does these shorts or his very, very long posts, which you have to, read through his AI version of what he's trying to say. And it's this to and fro that doesn't really get anywhere face to face. So I'm totally on board with you. And I think Luggy and Chris do trust you enough to do that, to have you be the host, get called up. And I do think they're absolutely fine going head to head with me, 1-to-1, and we can thrash it out there. And I would absolutely love that, because I actually don't mind being corrected. If Luggy and I want to go into why I think he's talking total bullshit about using LiDAR maps, and he wants to explain to me why I'm a total cretin for not understanding how LiDAR maps were the thing that had to be used, that's fine. Because otherwise, I put out, you know what I mean? I put out a video saying this is crap. He puts out a video saying, no, this is true. And it's not really getting anywhere. But I think a head-to-head, I think that would work. And if Luggy is great at explaining, some people are, I'm not being sarcastic, some people are great at explaining on the spot instead of writing it or doing some kind of vid. If Luggy's good at that, we might actually understand his perspective and what he claims to be true a lot better than what he's doing at the moment. So yeah, we all agree that would be a good, I think we all agree that would be a good thing.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. And I don't mind hosting the live again, and I've found a button on the phone that says invite guests, which you put a link in somewhere, or copy it, and I think then I can send it to, if they want to give me, make up an email address or give me their number. I don't mind dialogue with them. I don't mind talking to them. I mean, I'll just mention Streamline Entertainment. I've got nothing against him, yeah? Nothing against him. I said about him making more videos, it's just not my style. We've all got our own different styles. Streamline was happy to go out there. Now, he doesn't want a fight or a confrontation. He wants just to talk and open dialogue. Other people were going out there. I joke around, and Duncan jokes around as well, as short as they do, about what we hear about the insults. I try to make a joke of it to lighten the fact. We don't want any lawsuits. Well, I don't. Perhaps you do, perhaps they do. I don't want any prosecutions going on. Chris, and I've got some sympathy as such, because he said he was being bullied on No Ball. He copyrighted it. I didn't agree with that, mate. I didn't agree with that. I don't know why you did that. If it was you, sometimes people make up an email address pretending they're someone else or something like that. Remember that. So I've got full sympathy. If you're struggling, Chris, in that way, if you think you're being bullied, or is it because you want to prosecute or something like that? I don't understand. So we could get that cleared up. We could explain that, and perhaps there wouldn't be a need of anybody being bullied. And I know what that's like. It doesn't feel good. Okay, it was when I was a kiddie, or when I was like 6 or something, but it's not nice. We don't want that. We want a difference of opinion, because there's always going to be a difference of opinion. We want answers as a group. If they explain it really well, some of us, as they have done, are going to flip over. Remember Tails? He wasn't a friend of yours. In the end, he's an enemy of yours, but he flipped. Don't mind. I'd like to hear from people like that as well. So Marvin, if you do get information of what we're saying, you can be involved as well. I know people are going to say it was connected with Sue, etc. Got nothing against Sue as well, as such, apart from the information that she said she got about the video, confirming it, the torture video. The barber, yeah, she said she got information through. I don't blame Sue as such, because I don't know whether that's the case. So, yeah, got no problem with those people. Don't know how you feel, Duncan, whether you've got your favourites or enemies, or whether you feel ill about people. I don't think you do. I think you're a bigger man than that. What do you feel?
People might be surprised how, I mean, thick-skinned I am. A lot of words don't affect me at all, and a lot of things that seem minor to others really do affect me. I've been through this, where if someone's going to actually lie about me, say things that are untrue, and don't take it back, I then become an enemy. I'm like, if that's what you're going to do, lie about me, then we are basically at war. But if it's just words, it doesn't really bother me. If Chris wants to say that I'm a failed teacher, that I'm done, that's fine. That's his opinion. I'm happy to try to prove otherwise. But if I fail and people think I'm a failed this, or I'm a, stupid old gimp in a closet, I really don't mind. What you said the other day, Aldon, was quite interesting, because I had a number of people that were outraged that Chris seemed to be threatening me, because on his live, or whatever he was doing, he concluded it by saying he would love to stick his thumb right in my eye, and if he met me, he would probably kick me in the bollocks, or something like that, is what he said. And you said that could have been said as, kind of a joke. Like, this is what I'll do to you, mate, if I ever bump into you. And I actually took it more that way than a real threat. I just talk, I don't know, Chris is an ex-bodyguard. I mean, he's at the gym and all that. I think that's the way he talks. And I think he probably had a drink. In a sober moment, if you asked him seriously, if Duncan just walked up to you now and said, Chris, I want to have a chat, and Chris said, no, I'm going to stick my thumb in your eye and I'm going to kick them, I don't think Chris would. I think that's Chris talk. I might be wrong. I mean, I'm not going to go over to find out if it's true or not, but I do kind of take that stuff with a shrug. That's why it doesn't bother me if we're on talking together. That I think it would probably work. I don't think it would descend into that kind of talk. I don't know. I might be wrong. Let's find out.
Yeah, it depends on your background. I'm used to the background of that sort of thing. I don't know what other people feel about that. He's frustrated because of the to and froing. He probably thinks he's justified. You probably think you're justified. People are going to have their different views. Whether he meant it, sort of half joke. If he saw you, it's not a big deal for somebody to see somebody and give them a slap. You might sort of think, oh, prosecute or whatever. It does happen, so you probably get a slap. Yeah, we would have to ask him that, really, what he meant by that, because he is apparently said that he's being bullied on with no balls comment there. He said in his chat, whether it's him or not, who knows.
For me, I got to say, for me, there's a big difference between, I don't know, man to man saying, well, I'm going to kick you in the bollocks. And no, you won't. I will, get you on the floor before you can get anywhere near me. There's a big difference between that kind of talk and what Sluggy did. This outraged me, to Ali Harris outside the courtroom. That, to me, is really threatening and bullying. You're going up into someone's face and you're saying things like, I know which hotel you're in and I know who you are. And that, to me, is crossing the line. I mean, I think maybe you're going to disagree with me. I think if you or I were there at that moment, we would have intervened and maybe even pushed the slugster back and said, no, get out of here. Because I felt was physical. I mean, I don't think he touched Ali Harris, but he was getting right up to her and she handled herself very well. But to me, that was way out of bounds. To me, that's nothing like Chris saying something, in a video. I think there's a big difference. What do you think?
I'm not trying to justify threats. I'm not trying to justify them. I'm just trying to understand it from the other point of view. I'm not. I'm against it. I'm against it. Really, I'm against the threats. I don't want that. I'm just trying to think why they're doing it. I don't think they're all they're nasty, evil sort of people, etc. Luggy, no, I don't think he would have done anything to sue. It's just this aggressive way, not justifying it. I'm just saying that's his way of talking because he felt that the barber video, etc., the information that Sue was getting through, he thought that was bad and that was slanderous. But at the same point, threatening behaviour, we all know, whether it's online or in person, is against the law, a law. If you feel you've been alarmed and distressed by that, you can go to the police. They're supposed to investigate it. As you probably thought yourself, oh, they need reporting, they're psychos. So it is against the law. So the fact that Sue got her information and mentioned about the barbers, etc., oh, that's slanderous, that's kind of against a law, then it's not right. And then breaking another law and threatening behaviour, the eye poke, etc. Yeah, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that what he feels. I don't know what he feels. He needs to speak about that. He needs to speak about what's going on. I think it was because of his dad and his family, like he was protecting them. We all have meltdowns now and again. We all have meltdowns when we say things that we don't mean. Yeah, but do we want it? No, I don't want that sort of thing. That's what debate does. People in the House of Commons don't start smacking each other. But then again, people don't go into families. And I think you've done some bad things, but I think Luggy did some really bad things by suggesting that you like little girls, etc., and the thing that was going on with your nephew, etc. I've already mentioned that and what I felt about that. And you were talking of what's going through a boy's mind. And I will say, when I was a boy, when I was 13, I did fancy girls in the class, even though I was a bit of a shy boy. And I would say, what would I say? She's a bit of crumpet. And you were just saying that as a joke but that escalated. And do I think that you're like that? Do I think you're some sort of sinister paedophile? No. So, yeah, didn't agree with what he said there. Am I rambling on, or does that make sense to you, Duncan?
No, it all kind of makes sense, but I wanna take that a step further, Aldon. I want to take that a step further because I am intrigued by how the different family members of the two sides have been brought into this. And what I think is going on here, I have a feeling that some of the family members of Luggy and Chris are not eye to eye with Luggy and Chris. And if we take Chris as an example, I just have a feeling that it may be Chris's fiance or Chris's, mum, dad. Well, not his dad. His dad is 100% on his side. His daughter, who knows? I have a feeling they do watch this interaction. And I have a feeling in Chris's case, they are not all his friends and family and what have you, all on board with him. heavens knows if Chris's investors really had seen him on his videos, they would not be investing a penny with him at any stage of their, economic interest. So I think Chris is one of those under a lot of pressure from family and friends to get this right. And he hasn't got it right. I think he's come out of it looking really bad. So for someone like Chris, I think he might be tempted to retaliate with, well, you this, your family this, I know where you live and all this, because I think he is under a certain pressure. And I don't think that, he grasps that I'm not. You see, in Luggy's case, when Luggy was saying, oh, I've got your address in France. This is the building you live in France. I've got someone on the street that's seen you going in that building. I've got someone on the street that's seen you from your balcony. This is Luggy saying all this. Why is he saying that? Does he say that because he thinks somehow I'm now a little bit scared? Or does he think that when Mrs. Smith hears that, she's now a little bit scared? I don't know. But I think Luggy's game here is, I'm going to get at your family because I think the result is they're going to put pressure on you, Duncan, not to keep doing this. And he's wrong. Mrs. Smith was like, oh, remind me again, what does Luggy look like? What does he sound like? Because if I bump into him, I want to make sure I deal with him first. No one is intimidated here. And I tried to explain this to everyone from day one. I said, going into this, Chris said going into this, he's shocked. Chris is really shocked at how he's gone from hero to target. He never thought this could possibly happen, Al. He said that. He's like, I would never have done this if I knew this would be the result. And I've always said, Chris, you should have expected this. Because to me, it was obvious from day one, we're going along two very, very divided paths here. I knew from day one there would be such blowback and anger from people that said this must have been an accident. I expected all this and more. I knew it. So all I'm saying is, I think what they're trying to do is to bully, intimidate, and try to reduce the level of what I'm saying. And they're frustrated that it hasn't worked. And I'll say it again, there is not one person out there that they're going to affect on my side that is going to change the way I do it. However, I do think, I don't know about Luggy, I've got a feeling that some of Luggy's kids or some of Luggy's family might hear him and hear Duncan and hear Aldon and hear a few others. I mean, they probably do. And I think Luggy and Chris are very aware that they may hear that and think, oh, Jesus Christ, what is Dad going on about now? He's embarrassing me. So my theory is, Aldon, they do this in retaliation specifically to me, but they've done it to others. I mean, I don't think you've been involved, but they called Marvin. I mean, they've attacked Mama D. So I think they do this because they themselves know that their own family could be getting pretty darn pissed off with them. So they're trying to reverse it. That's my only theory. Otherwise, there would be no reason you're trying to drag other people in. And I said a long time ago to the accident group, let's draw up the rules. Who are we allowed to draw into this? Who do we exclude? They won't ever do it. All they say is the gloves are off. Okay, if the gloves are off and they keep saying it, I'll go for it. I'll go for it. I'll reveal as much as I can about as many people as I can if the gloves are genuinely off. But what they mean by that, Aldon, is it's off for them. But if we say anything they don't like, then it's bullying. To me, the gloves are either off or they're on. And if they're off for both parties. But do you see where I'm coming with this, Al? They seem to say, oh, bullying, bullying, bullying. You're nasty. You're a misogynist. You're this, you're that. But the gloves are off for them. How can that be?
I mean, all I can do is give a view. Chrissy raised the point. Come on out. If you sit on the fence for too long, you're going to get piled. I don't know what some people want me to do. They want me to go over and agree profusely with what Duncan's saying. I kind of do in some ways because I believe in some of the things, but I said that I handle things in a different way. I'm more diplomatic. That's probably why I appear to be sitting on the fence. But to be honest, I don't really know. Luggy can answer that. Chris can answer how they feel and why they do that. They put the brightness on you. They try to put the brightness on you because they want you to stop talking about suspicions. They think you're upsetting the family. I'm probably coming across as I agree with them, but I'm not. I don't agree with that, and I don't agree with what they're doing. I'd probably feel differently, and I'd be fully with you if it happened to me. Certainly, if it happened to a member of my family, I'd probably be the same as you. But because I'm not, it's probably why I'm a bit different. But scare tactics, I'm like you. Scare tactics don't bother me. I said I was probably a sadist. I probably enjoy it. I said I'm not a tough guy really as such, but because I start crying over where dogs have died and things and weepy movies. Got quite a low threshold for emotion in that way, but the coming round to my address, as I say, I sort of welcome that. That's weird. I'd enjoy that, but there we go. That's something else. That's a bit dark. That's a bit childish. It's got to stop in some ways because it can't carry on with that. Because if something did happen, then we wouldn't want Luggy going to prison or Chris going to prison because that was what would happen. Maybe you would for saying the wrong thing. I don't know how far. I'm not the law, so I don't know the law. But I don't know if that makes sense or not. I don't know what people want me to do or say. I'm only giving a view. I could keep silent. What do people think in the comments? There's going to be a mixed bag of what people think in the comments. Some people are going to be against it. If people want me to just fall in and think in the same way and be on one side and be on the Duncan side through and through, I'm not going to be like, and Duncan would be the same if it happened to me and he wasn't affected in the same way, if you know what I mean. But
actually, Aldon, I think your earlier suggestion of just having Chris and Luggy come on, and they can express themselves. I'm fine with that. If they want to vent at what I've done against them, let's hear it. Let's hear it. I would actually enjoy that debate and airing what has happened, because again, there's been a to and fro there which hasn't really made any progress, and I would love to explain quite civilly, without descending into terrible language. I would love to explain to Luggy exactly why I've done what I've done. I mean, I think he kind of gets it, but he doesn't. When he goes on about, you revealed this, you doxed this, you did that, the other, I've explained. I had it up to here with this cartoon character by the name of Luggy. What the hell kind of name is that? Don't you drop the name Luggy once you're out of kindergarten or primary school? He's going around calling himself Luggy, referring to Luggy in the third person. And he's the one that inserted himself into the Jay Slater case. He's the one that claims, he's part of the team that found Jay Slater. All I said was, this guy ain't called Luggy. I'd really like to know what his real name is. And I found it out. His real name is Ivor Lovelace. He denied it. He kept saying he's Luggy. Luggy's my name. I'm Luggy. Okay. You're Ivor Lovelace. So let me tell the world more about you, Ivor, seeing as you haven't got any guts to say I'm really Ivor Lovelace. I did the same with Chris Turner, Tales of Life. I'm not Chris Turner. I'm not Chris Turner. You got the wrong name. Okay, bang. Here you go. Here's a Facebook photo of you, Chris Turner. Here's your dad. Here's your family. If people, Aldon, are not just going to come clean and say, yeah, that's my name, I'll lay it on thick. And some people will say you laid it on too thick. But at the end of the day, if Luggy goes up there and says, you doxed me, no, I didn't dox anyone. Part of the definition of doxing is with malicious intent. I've got no malicious intent. I'm showing the whole world who you are just because you told me you weren't that person. You're not Luggy, you're Ivor Lovelace. End of. So if we want that debate, we can have it. And he can throw it back at me. It'd be a lot quicker and easier than doing, these great long posts against each other. But I can justify what I do, and he'll probably justify what he's done. No big deal. But let's go through it at some point. You see, again, we come back to this. If it's a lie, if you're going to lie about me, to me, that's terrible. You're just making up stuff. You're lying, and I'm going to challenge it, and I'm going to throw it back at you times 10. But the whole doxing thing, like, really, you think there's some kind of threat here? I mean, he's quite happy to say, you turn up on my doorstep and you're gonna regret it. Okay, well, that's fine. Then I won't. I've got no interest in going anywhere near you. There's no threat there. So he's happy to dish it back. But his whole thing about I'm Luggy is a lie. You're Ivor Nicholas. Tales of Life is Chris Turner. And now we've got Luggy saying, well, you made up a name. You called yourself Timmy Dunks. Okay, I added Timmy to my name just for a bit of fun. But you all know I'm Duncan Smith. You never hear the likes of Luggy say, oh, Tales of Life, Tales of Life. Yeah, that's a fake name. No, we never hear this. We hear this grifting thing. Come on, I want a bit of a rant, but let's get to the grifting bit. We hear this accent. Oh, you're all grifting, grifting, grifting. The two biggest grifters I've come across are Debbie Duncan with the whole documentary. How much do I get paid for the documentary? How much of the GoFundMe ends up in my pocket? What happened to all of Jay's money that was in his account that was frozen? Oh, I think that ended up in Debbie Duncan's pocket. So the biggest grifter in all this, whether you like it or not, is Debbie Duncan. Now, you might have an argument why she's entitled to all that. Fine, but to me, she seems to be a grifter. The other big grifter is Tales of Life. Had his Patreon account in there. Chris Pennington was contributing to it. Grifting. He was grifting. He was talking about the Jay Slater case. Grifter. But why is it with the accident group we only hear that the grifters and the doxers are all on the other side? They're not. It's pretty evenly spread, if you ask me. So if Luggy wants to come on and debate it, we can. I've got no problem with that. I'm just stating right now that what he says about me is something that really gets him irate, and yet he keeps saying things like, well, Duncan, you keep complaining about this. I'm not complaining. You've never heard me complain. If Luggy's found out something about me, yeah, Luggy found out that I taught in the Bahamas. Well, big deal. I kind of knew that was going to happen. When you give your real email address out there, you just put in the email address, type it in, you can try it. If you put Ian Duncan Smith, Google it, my email address, or Ian D. Smith at hotmail.com, it'll pop up. There it is. Teacher in the Bahamas. So I knew all that. There's no big deal. The big deal is when you find out about that and then start creating lies. Absolute lies. Like, what was one of Luggy's? Oh, Duncan Smith took some young students on a trip to Asia, and it was all, PDF stuff. It's like total lies, total lies. So let me wrap this up. I might have done stuff that shocked people, but I did it for a good reason. And I had it up to here with the likes of Luggy and Chris saying, oh, we only follow the facts. And if you don't follow the facts and you don't think we follow the facts, then you're some kind of conspiracy theorist. Right, I'm going to fight back with that. But I'm also going to fight back someone saying, my name's Luggy. And I just said, no, it's not. Was it worth losing a channel over that? Yeah, I would say so, because after that moment, we didn't hear a lot of shit coming back from Luggy about, oh, this is my name and not my real name. And no, he didn't come back with any of that. I put it out there. Everyone knows who he is. End of. We've dealt with it. Anyway, Al, what do you think?
Oh, it's you handle it okay. You handle it well. I know there are other people that have had fallouts, and again, sorry, but I'm going to have piles, and I'm going to sit on that fence. There was a Welsh lady, Mama something or other, she was calling herself lovely lady, Welsh lady, saying that other people were threatened as such by him because that's the way he deals with people, short, sharp, because he's upset about the family he feels that have been like wronged, etc., etc., and himself, etc. So he reacts in that way. But she stuck up to him like you did. She said, "Right, get round here now, and we'll sort it out then." Unfortunately, other people don't deal with that, and they do frighten very easily. I know people that you could frighten very easily. Some people, some nasty people do actually go round to people's houses and burn them down. where they live. They put things through the letterbox and burn them down. And that's not very nice. We could all go around doing that. So what I would say to Luggy, and he can say his pieces, I'm not saying that you did say that, by the way, but I'm saying to put, perhaps put a bit of a cap on it as such. People, they've said things about me because I've read it in chat, etc. I could bounce off that straight away and start ranting and raving and start saying I'm going around burning your house down. Again, I'm not saying, I'm just using that as a gross type of example. I could go around that and say, I don't know, I'm going to go around and give the kiddie a slap or something. Something that really might frighten them. Yeah. So yeah, I'm against all that. So that should be left out. It's social media. This isn't the dark web, dark corner. This isn't the middling dark corner. This is a true crime corner where people can just discuss theories. And what I will say is, why are Luggy and Chris in the true crime corner? They should have their own corner as such. Again, not having a go at you two. Yeah, I'm saying is, true crime comes up on your feed when you're interested in things. Why hasn't their feed? Why doesn't that come up with boats or property or something they're interested in? Why do they have to stay within? It's probably good that they're not in all the lives, etc. But when they do go on the lives, you think, well, if you're bullied and things, you need to have a break, as I do sometimes. Have a break from it all. Not go in the true crime corner if it affects you, because it is still a rough corner. It is quite a rough corner, but don't enter it. Change your feed. Chris went away for a bit, probably done him good. In the same light, we have to watch what we say. In a way, I know you speak differently than I do, Duncan. I consider you're a mate of mine. You're a mate. You say things in a different manner than I do. I stutter and I'm careful. It's just the way I am. In my opinion, nobody has to obey it, but perhaps we've got our part to play in it. It doesn't matter to me because I'm not going to go on and on. I go on about other cases and then I'll get the same from another group saying, why have you said that about Charlie Kirk's killer? Charlie Kirk's killer killed him. Why are you saying someone else did? Blah, 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 blah. I'll get the same again on another case, as Harsh does when he talks about cases, as Wax talks about other cases. It happens again. But there we go. I like to think that I'm within the law with what I say, and I say it in a diplomatic way. And it's the true crime corner. It's here. Get over it in some way, yeah? Get over it. Anyone the same way? You feel differently? Do you feel that we should stop the true crime?
Okay, for me, Aldon, you faded and then you've frozen, so I can neither hear you nor see any movement on your side. You're back.
Back on again.
Aldon, can you hear me?
Yeah, because I'm in the garden room, I can't get the internet. I'm on data, but the data's back up to 4 or 5 bars now.
Okay. Yeah, let's just wrap, if we can, Aldon, let's just wrap this part of the conversation up with an observation, then we should move on to something else. My observation is that obviously different cultures right now have very, very different standards on this. And this is where I guess my absence from the UK is really telling, because in my youth, when I have been in the UK, I remember the whole, photographs, for example, photographs of kids. The class photo was in the local paper. Every kid's face was there. Everyone knew the kid. Everyone probably knew where they lived. It was no big deal. Fast forward to today, and it seems like unless you've blurred out every face of every single person that may not have a connection to the person you're talking about, it's some kind of crime. Now, I'm not making any excuses here because if that is the law, I should know what the law is. Yeah, I don't, and probably I'll be punished for it. But I've also spent most of my life in a culture or in cultures where people laugh at that. It's like, okay, you've got a picture of these kids here. Who's the person that's, gone over their face? What's that all about? So there's been a complete, from what I see, there's been a complete shift from, let's show the children and be proud of them. That's fine, to, oh my God, you've posted a picture of a child? What on earth were you thinking? In retrospect, when so many people have said you can't post that, I would think, okay, then I've just stepped into a culture where things have changed. That's the majority. I've got to accept it, and I'd better be careful. But I'm just pointing out that it is possible to do these things and then be totally surprised when people say you shouldn't have done that. I'm like, the kid, I'm like, the kid is now 20 years old. Is this really something that the 20-year-old is going to get, upset about? I don't know. Everyone's different. If that 20-year-old kid is going to get upset that his picture, age 8, is being put up on the internet, I would say you better get used to a whole lot worse than that, because, this is the age when you have no idea what's going to pop up. I don't know. There are two ways of looking at it. And I think, Aldon, you are more in touch with, let's just call it the sensitive people that say you should never do that. I've missed out a lot on what's happened in the UK in the last 40 years, right?
Yeah, I can answer that. What I will do, I've got a question for you, but I'll say it to you, then park it, and then answer your question. It's just something different. Sorry to go on. I've gone about Sugar Ray, but he said, please answer the question, and I'll let you answer it in one moment. Why calling Debbie a grifter? Not my way. I don't talk like that, but Duncan's entitled to his view on that. Answer that in one moment. I'll answer the bit about the photographs, etc., of kids, etc. Right. I don't really like to put all my cards down on the table because it may present a security risk for me, etc. I've done many things in my life. I've also been a supply teacher for a brief period, PE, but you do cover other subjects as well. You cover for other teachers. Let me tell you out there now, it's different than it was from when I was at school. You can't hit anybody. You can't raise your voice so much. You have to say it in a more diplomatic way when you discipline a child. You are not allowed, a child with ADHD, you're not allowed to say anything. It's totally changed. On the register, you'll get a list of ADHD, ADHD, ADHD. Not all of them on the register have ADHD. Some of them get benefits for that, but that's another thing. But some of them diagnose their kids with ADHD. They do get a little bit of benefit, more so universal credit. I could be wrong, but my point is, it's very delicate. You can't be a dinner lady anymore. My mum was a dinner lady. Bless her, sorry, she passed. That did affect me. That's what I was saying about mentally. I can get very upset, and I'm not afraid to cry about that either, but other things that don't bother me. Have I frozen again? Am I still here? Yeah. Right. So people get taught all the time from these kids. Some of them might have ADHD. Some of them have got severe behavioural issues. I don't know what the answer is because the discipline has gone out the window. It's very difficult to discipline a child now within a school. You get accused of things. You can get accused of, say, hitting a child, and you didn't. You haven't hit them. You can get accused of touching a child, and you didn't. But I tell you what, if the press find out, that's in the newspaper straight away. That would be in the newspaper. And I don't know about you, but I'm guilty of it. If I see that guy who got off on Coronation Street, as soon as it's in the newspaper, you kind of believe it, or you initially believe it, and you think, no, hang on a minute, it's not true, but you do. And this happens a lot, and it used to happen a lot. Teachers have got a very hard job. yeah, but it does happen, and you can't put pictures up anywhere without getting a parent's permission. In the old days, we had school pictures, and the teacher would be up there with a camera, and we'd all have a class photo. You can't do that anymore. You can't put it anywhere. It's very difficult. The times have changed. Maybe we haven't caught up online. Maybe that's why people want certain laws brought out. There are laws anyway. There are laws online anyway, and you have got to be courteous. We're all supposed to be courteous with each other. But yeah, it can be easy. You've been accused of things. It's very, very. You have to be very thick-skinned. Very thick-skinned. But I don't know what I'd do really if I was in the role and up pops the local paper with he's been accused of this, because everybody would believe it. Everybody. It's got to be the worst thing if you're accused of touching kids. Hitting kids, yeah, it's bad, but it's not as bad because it used to be in the old days that I was always getting clipped around the ear hole. Even open hand was like a fist, an empty hand was like a fist around your ear hole, and that was just for staring out the window. So yeah, times have changed. So it's easy. Don't point the finger at things. Don't exaggerate things. Difficult. I don't know how you feel. I've come actually, and
Yeah,
you didn't understand.
I don't think there's I don't think, Aldon, that there's going you can't I don't think you can agree on this, because it's just whatever background you come from and what your culture is. People I know can see what I've put out there and say, yeah, I don't see what's wrong with that. It looks okay to me. I can bring someone else over from, the sensitive side, and they will look at the same thing and say, oh my God, no, you can't do that. You can't put that out there. It's the same material, it's the same ideas, it's the same words, it's the same photo. One person says, I don't see the problem. The other person says, no, that no one does that anymore. um, that's just where we are, and there won't be any agreement on that. But getting way back to how this whole conversation started, I do think if you could get the Slugster and Chris to go head to head with me or head to head with you, it's a lot quicker and easier to get to the bottom, get to the heart of the matter, than the non-stop, posting to and fro. I just think it's a good idea. It might not work, but hey, you're the neutral guy. I think if anyone is going to reach out to them and say, let's try this documentary, I think it's you.
Put down in the chat a 1 if you'd like to see me, Duncan, Luggy and Chris on a live together, thrashing it out. Put a 1 down. Put a 2 down if you want to see Duncan, Luggy and Chris on a live together, thrashing things out. Put down, what else would there be? Me. Put down a 3 if you just want me, Luggy and Chris talking. Or just put something out if you'd like 2 completely different creators or viewers talking with Luggy and Chris. We'll see. If people want it, then it'll go ahead. I don't think you'll be bosom buddies. I think it just might solve something. Perhaps it might stop the back and forth. If you're entitled to talk about the case for as long as you want. As I said, I'll be out of it after a couple of videos after the inquest, but I'll still be here and around, etc. So, and I'll still, if somebody wants me to come alive and talk about anything, I'll do that. But yeah, so ones, I don't know if you can see the chat. Okay, Duncan, the ones I haven't seen. I've forgotten what I said now. It was 1 or 4 of us.
I think most people are quite happy with what you suggested, that foursome, Chris and Luggy, if they can appear together, you and me, you can be the host, you can be somewhat neutral. I think you do still bend towards my side rather than Chris and Luggy. I mean, you're good at staying neutral. I'm just saying that if it were the four of us, I wouldn't feel that I was alone against the other two. Wouldn't bother me either way. But I think that might be a good balance, actually. You, me,
Yeah,
Chris,
you need a
after the
referee. You need a
documentary, let's
referee.
talk.
Yeah, I'll be the referee. I don't mind. Love your life. I don't mind banter, love your life, as you're saying. Maybe Chris P is drunk again, and Lucky is talking with Ivor. I thought he was Ivor. With Ivor. So both be too busy to talk here. In my opinion, they are watching. Well, yeah. Can I say about Chris being drunk again? If it's a joke, it's a joke. But if I'm a lightweight anyway. I just had a can, and I'm probably quite jolly with it. I couldn't take any more. He might be on medication for a certain thing which affects him when he drinks alcohol. If he does have any issues or problems, it's not nice if you do have issues and problems in your life. It might be something totally different. If something happened to a member of my family, a bereavement or something, I'd be in a bad way. And I think I've made actually recorded videos when something happened to my mum and there was something else as well at the same time. And I came on and I didn't look quite right. And I was like, and it took me like 5 minutes to put a sentence together and people did notice. Are you all right, Al? Are you all right, Al? And I think that's good with both the communities. They both got their agreements in little communities and they say the same thing. And it's good to have the community and it's good to have people that can help you out if you're online. Some people can be really lonely, etc. And it is really a good way to make friends, etc. And it's good that people are looking out for me when I had my little wobble. I don't know whether you have wobbles, Duncan. You seem pretty hard nosed about things. I don't know if you could get upset about things, could you? How are you on bereavements and things? You know, do you just think, oh, they go in a box? Do you cry? I cry at funerals, yeah. I've even cried at some of my friends' weddings and pretended to yawn because it's. I do that. Do you do that, Duncan? Do you cry at funerals? Hard nosed, evil, little man, big man, tall man, thin man, or whatever you are.
Let me give some fuel to the let me give some much needed fuel to the accident group here. I'm hard nosed beyond belief to the point where everyone's born, everyone lives, everyone dies. We've got to deal with it. I'm just very cold hearted about that kind of thing. It's just not me. I've even heard people say that they wish they didn't have to go to a funeral. They wish they wouldn't have a funeral themselves. They just don't like that kind of thing. But you know, we're in a society where you almost feel obliged to show that, you know, that grief and that sorrow. And yeah, you're going to feel it in private. But I mean, you got me right, Al. I'm just not one of those that's going to get that up or down about it. That is what happens. You know, I've got friends that, you know, the cat dies, the dog dies for the next 2 or 3 weeks. They're an emotional wreck. And, you know, I'm a dog lover, I'm a pet lover, but not like that. It's like, you know, it's happened. And then the world goes on. Yeah, so we're kind of on board with that. It's just you just deal with it and go on.
That's why I don't think you're evil, like the two guys that we were talking about are saying, because you don't have that thing. Off again. I'm back on. I go to pieces if my dog passes away, as it did the other dog I had in the past. You know, I'm different, so that could explain why. Yeah. That question, can you answer that for Sugar 8, wherever he's gone, about Debbie, or anybody as well in the chat as well as Duncan, why is she a grifter? I don't think she is, by the way. But yeah, Duncan, why is she a grifter?
You're going to have to repeat that, Al. I missed the question. I missed the comment. What was the comment and what was the question?
From Sugar Ray, why is Debbie a grifter in your view? Allegedly,
Why
in
is
your
Debbie a
view.
grifter? Okay. Okay. So first of all, let's define grifter. To me, a grifter is someone that makes a quick buck off something, an incident or something in life that you should really leave alone. I mean, typically, you know, a death or something very sad. Now, you could ask the same question of the mainstream media. Are the mainstream media grifting when they are selling their product and reporting on the deaths of people that die in an earthquake or a tsunami? Are they grifting, or are they just reporting what has happened? So the whole grifting thing is a bit of a gray area for me. I am hard-nosed. In essence, I actually, and this is going to surprise people, I think, I actually don't see anything wrong with Debbie Duncan making money off a documentary. If that is what she wants to do, I'm fine with it. What I don't like is the hypocrisy. I don't get this whole I'm grieving, this is terrible, no one should talk about this, let's leave him rest in peace, please don't talk about this, I'm grieving, it's over. And then, lo and behold, we have a documentary. And who is going to profit from that? Well, if Debbie had come forward and said, by the way, I don't gain from this, none of the family gains a penny, we've agreed that any money that is raised from the documentary goes to fighting drug addiction or crime in Tenerife or searching for missing persons, I think we'd all be on board with that. We'd say, well, that's not grifting, that's a great idea. You know, you are grieving, but you're giving time to this documentary crew to make some money, but it's going to a good cause. I see no problem with that whatsoever. And I don't actually see a big problem with the GoFundMe. If people are donating, thinking this is helping to find Jay or take his body back for the funeral, that's all fine. My big problem is it seems like the whole aim is to make money. That's how it seems to me. If Debbie had done this differently, I wouldn't think that. But from the way she's done it, it looks to me like she's quite happy to make money out of this. And then for the accident group to turn around and say, you know, well, Wax is grifting, Mama D is grifting, Marvin is grifting. Oh, hello. So the Daily Mail doesn't grift when it reports on deaths. Debbie's not grifting when she's signed up for a documentary. It's only Mama D, Marvin, and Wax that are grifting. Come on, hypocrites, and just tell us what you think. This is what I think. Debbie is grifting. That's it. That's what I see. Now, if you don't see it that way, that's fine. That's your opinion. But that's what I see. And like I say, there might be a good reason for the grift. Let's not call it grift. There might be a good reason for earning money off this. There we go. That's it. So to answer the question, why do I think Debbie's grifting? That's what I see. I don't see anyone out there saying she's not making any money out of the death of her son in this documentary. All I see them say is you're being nasty for pointing out the truth. She's making money off a documentary about the death of her son. That's what I see. What do you see, Aldo?
Just reading the chat. Yeah, I hope that's answered you, Sugar Ape. It's probably not satisfied him, but I hope that's gone in some way to answering. Just reading the chat. There we go. I think DJ Ravers and Sugar Apes, they're having a bit of to and fro, but they're fine now because Sugar Ape's fine with DJ now, not saying anything. What do I think? It's hard being a nice guy, isn't it? Really, commenting about things. But I can comment. Yeah, I think Debbie was making money from the GoFundMe. Again, I've said my point. I wouldn't refuse money if somebody offered me money. Well, I have done in the past actually. Duncan knows about that because I sent him an email and I did refuse money. But I probably would just let the GoFundMe go and put it somewhere, put it to a good cause or do something with it for Jay, which she did with many of the things that she did in the funeral, etc., which was great. So it's difficult for me to talk because I'm over nice. Over nice isn't a good thing. That's a problem with me, and people know that. They know there's a chink in my armor. Is she hypocritical in some ways? Possibly. But I do feel for her. I think she's genuine in what she feels. I would make money off the documentary if I was her as well. So I'm not whiter and white. Can't be that nice.
Aldon, just a second. Let me just say something about. Let me just say something about Debbie that I think some people might have missed, and that is, I haven't actually said that Debbie is to blame for all this. I happen to think that those that are saying she has been manipulated and that her mind is actually quite foggy on all this, I think that's also true. I'm also up for saying Debbie appears to me to be grifting, making money off this, but I'm not sure Debbie's very clear in her mind what is right and wrong in this. I'm quite willing to go along with the idea that Debbie's not the kind of person to mentally process very quickly when Candor Productions say we've got a very good idea to portray the disappearance and the death of your son, and this could be a good lesson for the country on how armchair detectives are the villains. I think Debbie might be quite swayed and persuaded by that and think it is a good idea. She might not see that others see that she's grifting. So in that sense, I'm with you on that, Aldon. I think Debbie may well have a good heart, but I don't think she can see what we see. And when we my big beef with her is when we pointed out that we see someone grifting off this, she turns it on us and says, you're the bad people. You're the ones that need to be shut up. You're not helping the family. Okay? Debbie, I don't think you're helping the family by doing this documentary and by grieving publicly. I don't think you're, but I don't know. We don't know what's in the background. I have a feeling that Debbie does have a good heart, but I think she's incapable of seeing how other people have a good heart, but they're very opposed to what she's doing. That's what I feel.
I don't think, to be honest, we've heard an awful lot from Debbie. So that's an issue, not with her, really. But yeah, we don't know because we haven't heard a lot of Debbie. We haven't heard a lot of everybody. Just one point somebody made at the back of the funeral. Who was it? Sorry, it's gone. Courtster said, wasn't the funeral gifted because the company will benefit from the TV promotion? Okay, so the funeral, there was talk there about it might have been gifted anyway and didn't come out the GoFundMe. I don't know the ins and outs of the GoFundMe. There was something produced, an account produced about the GoFundMe, which some of us didn't believe. I didn't fully believe it myself, but then again, that's old hat, and I don't want to go over old ground. And if I'm wrong on that, I'm wrong on that. Somebody raised the point that we should be talking more about Jay as such. Duncan's different, just a bit hardened, not a problem at all. Yeah, I feel for anybody's son who's had an accident or been murdered, have to be said, sorry, I've said it, or has had manslaughter against them, or an accident. I'll say the accident again. Okay, I've got sympathy for him. What would I think he'd be thinking of us right now? I think he would hate us. Yeah, I think he would hate us. I don't know what anyone else would think if he was. There are some clairvoyants around within the true crime. I sort of half and half. I don't reckon Duncan. I don't think you believe in clairvoyance at all. But I could be wrong. We'll ask you in a minute. But if they're here, they're thinking, well, Jay come in, Jay spoke. Yeah, I think he'd probably hate us, to be honest. Depending what happened. It depends what happened. If an accident, he hates us. If it was foul play, he'd probably be understanding of them to say, yeah, okay, keep going, guys. It's a funny thought, isn't it, really? I don't know what you feel about that, the chat, and Duncan. Over to you and the chat.
Yeah, that's a really tough one to deal with. What you said, I want to go back to what you said earlier, is we just don't know. We really don't know the background of the Duncan Slater family. We don't know what Debbie really thinks. We don't know any of this. And with Jay, this is a strange case because I don't think we have heard Jay speak as such. I mean, obviously, we can't read his thoughts if they exist right now. We've got no idea what he would be thinking about this, but we haven't heard Jay interact with anyone at all, ever. So to try to guess what kind of person he is, again, I'm going to make myself unpopular, but let's do it. I don't think he was a particularly nice guy. And this is where I run against a lot of my own, followers and that, who I think Jay, obviously Jay didn't deserve this, but I think they think he was a nice guy. And I don't see that. I don't see that. What Jay would think about what he went through, I don't know. I can only, if it were me, let's turn around. If it were me, I would want someone to hold my so-called friends to account. Number one, I wouldn't be happy with what I'm hearing them say now, or not say, the whole silence about it. Don't know. A lot of people have let Jay down, a lot of people, and I'm just amazed that the ones that are closest to him haven't really got upset about that. Just one last thing about this whole Ayub and Rokas thing. Did you not feel it odd that it seemed Debbie was really adamant that Ayub and Rokas had to be there to face the music and answer questions and eye to eye with Debbie, but she didn't seem concerned at all that Lucy, Brandon, and Brad go through that same process. It was almost like the friends of Jay had been given a pass. It's like, okay, you've said your thing, no big deal. But she really had it in for Ayub and Stephen. And I thought that would go the other way around. I would have thought that Debbie would have been really fired up at these so-called friends for letting this all happen. And yes, I do think they let it happen. At any stage, they could have stepped in and said, no, that's a really bad idea to go up there with them. That's how I see it. His friends let him down. And yet Debbie doesn't seem to be concerned. Have I misread that?
Oh, I think she is, in my opinion. I think she is concerned, and I think she's been very upset. But she's probably twisted in all sorts of directions. She probably doesn't know what's going on, what's right and what isn't right. We don't really know. They don't say an awful lot. Lou said she sent Rocky a link. Sorry, change subject. Sent Rocky a link because he wanted to come in, but somebody else said no way. I don't think he'd want to come in anyway, but he can if he wants to. But I don't think he will. Somebody mentioned so many comments. Sorry, I can't get through them all. British Patriot, thanks for coming in. Did I mention Sharon Carr? Thank you, Sharon, for coming in. If I haven't mentioned you or anyone else. Yeah. So I don't know. We just don't hear. We don't hear enough. We don't know. We're like we are strangers, really. We are strangers. We think we know these people, but we don't. All we know is what we see, what the suspicions were. The suspicions are the only thing that's guiding us to think or have thought in the way. Remember, I disappeared for a few months anyway, and I will
Yeah.
again. So you carried on. So my people, I hope they know what I'm about. I just look at suspicions from every angle. I look at them. Again, I'm going to use the current one about Charlie Kirk and the assassin. The FBI. I haven't seen it today. Actually, I've been busy, but the FBI are covering that up, and it's online people that are finding things out. And I did mention. I don't know if you were around at the time, the Nicola Bulley case. I don't know if you looked into that, Duncan, at all. But if you can, you want to talk about something as well. Look into that. Did you look into that one? You didn't, did you, Nicola Bulley?
I didn't. I wasn't around when that happened. So anything I found out about the Nicola Bulley case is retrospect, and I just didn't get into enough detail to comment. The funny thing was when Adderley's name popped up, I had this kind of flood of, oh my God, it's the same one that handled Nicola Bulley. And I was the ignorant one there. I was like, okay, what happened? What did Adderley do there? I'm unaware of this. And I was aware that you were very aware of it. You've mentioned it a number of times. But I mean, the only thing I can say about the Nicola Bulley is, again, that instant reaction. That instant reaction. When I saw that mountain wilderness and was told that's where Jay Slater went before he died, I was like, no, no, that's not where he went. And when I saw that river or stream, and that's where Nicola Bulley fell in and drowned, I was like, no, it just doesn't feel right. How can that be? But I can't comment on the Nicola Bulley case. I didn't really get into it, but I think you did, and you've had. I mean, you've got passionate views on that, haven't you?
Nicola Bulley, man, I'm not saying you would like it because it's the wrong thing to say. Nobody likes that sort of thing happening. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Does that show up James Adley? Does that show up a lot of people from kickoff? Exactly what you said. And also, allegedly, did her husband, I'm a bit hazy now because the case is gone and I've covered it. Did he kill her? Did he kill her? Because, oh boy, you go into that one big time. Because it looked like, to me, allegedly, that he had something to do with it. I'm just saying, and you can see why we're on to suspicions. And that one was a big getaway. And people online were into that one straight away. But again, you got people on the other side of the fence on that case saying exactly the same thing, and you get it all the time on these cases. You get 5 sides to a story. Going back to the chat, funny, the chat does work well actually. It does reject things because I put in there, totally serious, obviously. That I think Sugar Ray, it was saying that DJ Ravers is telling me what to do, and I said, "Shut up, or I'll shoot you," something like that. And I put that in the comments, and it rejected. So it works quite well. It rejected if you want to shoot people. So hopefully it's working quite well when other people say strange things. No problem, DJ Ravers and Sugar Ray. It's all good fun. Carry on. He's telling me what to do. I'm listening, of course. I wanna.
Am I right? Am I right, Aldon, that because neither of us is technologically capable, that we're not going to be able to save this? This whole live stream that was just an experiment to see if I could connect with you and you could connect with me, which has been a bit of a classic in the end, cannot be saved. Neither you nor I have any clue how to do that.
We don't. Somebody could teach us. It's a shame in some ways. It might be, but I don't think it will. If there's a chance at the end, it says subscribe, and you can. I can save this recording. I will. Perhaps I should have tried and clipped it. I've been laptop first. The phone, I'm going to stick to the phone because it just works better. You come across. You don't You don't pause or anything. It's all been great. As far as I'm concerned, it's been great. Don't worry. I won't worry. We are going to have more of these. We are going to try and record them with no ball, wherever she's in the chat. I don't know. Hello, Ali Harris. We have been talking about you. Not bad from me anyway. Other people might do in the chat. If it's the real Ali Harris, you're fine. You're fine with me anyway. People told you the wrong things.
The thing is, Aldon, we might have to go through. The thing is, Aldon, we might have to go through all of this again because I don't think we will be able to keep it.
No, but no problem. I've got to wrap it up, I suppose, because it's 3 hours and 25 minutes. It's been great. I do appreciate everyone coming in. It's like a random, something random that happened. I remember a film actually with Clint Eastwood called Any Which Way You Can, where he was set to have this fight with another guy, and everyone was waiting for it, and they had a secret fight in this little barn somewhere, and they were fighting each other, and it spilled out of the barn onto the street, and all of a sudden the crowd come along and watch this fight. I think his name was William Smith was the actor, great actor, big muscly guy, and you know Clint Eastwood. And they were having a fight, and it spilled out onto the street, and the whole crowd come on, the fight's happening, the fight's happening. It just reminds me of that in some ways. I don't mean in the same way because it's a morbid subject. Again, going back to Jay, sorry Jay, if you are there. Oh, you didn't reply to me, Duncan. We will wrap this up though. But you didn't reply to me, Duncan. Am I right? Do you believe in clairvoyance?
No, I don't believe in them. I don't. I mean, I will respect what someone says, and I respect the fact that they believe that there's a reason to believe that. I don't. I would never turn around and say, that can't possibly be, that's nonsense. I would just say, for me, it doesn't count for anything, but I would also accept, Aldon, that some people have seen something and acted on it and it's changed their life positively. It just may be that for some people it's a force or it's something that works, and for some people it doesn't. But it doesn't for me. That's all I can say. It doesn't for me.
Yeah. Little short story. Before I do, I'll just mention Matt Prime has said, don't know quite what he means to me. Matt Perry. Is it misinformation talking about Chris's conversation with Jay? I'm not sure what he means by that. Do you know what he means by that, Duncan? Which conversation with Jay?
Is it misinformation talking about Chris's conversation with Jay? Yeah, I think what Matt Perney is saying there is that when Chris said he'd spoken to Jay, well, that's obviously a lie. That's misinformation. I would imagine that's very disturbing to the family. And therefore, Jay's Law, can we get Chris behind bars on that one? He did say, it slipped out of his mouth when I spoke to Jay, or he said it. It's misinformation. I would imagine it's hurtful to the family. I think Matt Perney's point is that every single one of the people that are saying they defend the family so much have done the opposite according to Jay's Law. And maybe we can leave that, Aldon, for another time, because getting into what Jay's Law might actually do and impact and all that, that's a big subject that I would be happy to talk about. Yeah.
Excellent. That would be something if we can get Chris and Lucky on it. We can ask Chris that one. Whatever that was about. It's above my head. Sorry, I said I don't dig in too deep sometimes. One last thing before I wrap it up. Ali Harris, if it's Ali, she's in there. She's in Dartmoor. Hello, Ali. If you do have a word with Marvin, he was going to go to Tenerife. Someone else was going to go as well, but not in a bad way, in a good way. If you can have a word with him. And if he can come on the next live if he's not in the chat. What do you feel, Duncan? Should we wrap that one up? This one up now?
Yeah, let's let's wrap it up. This was just an experiment to see if we can connect, and we got through a
It's come
lot.
out
But
swinging. Yeah, I think there's 100.
and
Is there? I can read at the top, so I'm useless. I think 126 within. That's not bad, is it? 125 people in the chat. Other people watching, maybe. So that's good. So I hope we've been positive and we've done something. Some people are going to say, "You're useless. What have you done? You've just been a load of idiots and you're upsetting the family even more. You're a bunch of uh, TWATs, and you're entitled to that."
yeah, yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Once
so
I've
we,
once
yeah,
I've sorted out my my TikTok account, there
mhm,
are a load of people over there. I know a lot of YouTubers don't go onto
yeah,
TikTok, but EP
yeah,
has a big following. We've still got
yeah,
that as an opportunity. You got into
yeah,
his live the other
yeah,
night. That went fine. If
yeah,
we can do it over there, that works. But this also works. I think we're agreed that we digest what happened into the documentary, and then you and I,
yeah,
or you and I with EP, we'll figure this out. But let's try to get the big players on the other side up in the boxes. Let's thrash this out as civilly as we can, and we'll see what happens. Huh?
yeah. My aim or objective is objective. Sound like a business. Objective is go on EP's live, no balls live. I want to get Marvin pulled in and involved, other people as well on their lives. I want you to have a live as well. If you can work TikTok or YouTube, and I think everyone, your followers, other people wouldn't appreciate, but they would really appreciate that too. And then I could come on with you, etc., etc. It's all been brilliant. It's all been great. Nice live with no swearing. I don't tend to swear. Duncan doesn't tend to swear. It's good as well. Something about the algorithm or something. Um, I can't see, and it's been really good because I'm not a grifter. Because nobody's sent me any money on there as far as I can see, so that's all right. Super chatty things, whether they work or not, I don't know. So that's one good thing, isn't it? We're not
Yeah,
grifters. Um,
yeah,
that's not good, is it? I've just put all that effort in, and I'm not getting anything. If I was a busker on the street, surely you'd give me a fiver. I'm joking. I just, before I go, I'll get this one up just to mention some of the people in the chat there. We've got Ali, Harris, Sue. Um, yeah, um, go and beat Luggy up or something. Bonnie, I know what people are going to say. They're going to talk about the bloody Scottish thing or whatever. I'm not going to go on. Sam R, Amanda Southern, Scoobs, Kathleen Lane, Julie Byers, Angela Smith, Vivaldo, Corkster, thank you all, Kevin Flynn, Sugar 8 of course, Lou, my secretary, must use my secretary, yeah, and Lisa Payne is one. I can't do the mob thing, but I will do Rachel, Gail, Cashin. You probably know most of these, Duncan, because they your guys, your team. Scoobs, Love Your Life, Vicky M, Debs, Lou, Matt, DJ, of course, DJ Ravers. His character, isn't he? I'll get Luggy to phone you afterwards. Joke? Huh? Julianne, Kai, Carrie, Kevin, Lisa Payne, I've mentioned, Lucy and Sam Marlon, blah, 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 blah. Sorry I've missed anyone. I will go over to you in one moment, Duncan, for an ending, an outro, but I will give my usual outro, which people get really fed up when bored with. But if you can, try and try and live your life. Try and be happy. Try and make someone else happy in your life. Try and do something for someone else. We're all a bit selfish. And when you lay your head down tonight, try not to have any nasty dreams. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing, and giving me a pound in my guitar case. Over to you, Duncan.
I just want to thank
Buenas,
everyone.
what? Buenas noches, buenas tardes, buenas what?
Too late for that. It's just buenas noches now. It was buenas noches 2 hours ago. I'm an early bird. This is just buenas noches, full stop. No, Aldon, I just want to thank you for persisting with this, because the whole idea was you and I connect and see if it works. It ended up being a 4-hour live or something crazy like that. That's fantastic. If we had 100 odd people checking in tonight and we actually broadcast the next one, I think we'd probably have 5,000, especially if we can get some of those accident group big cheeses in. I think we might have a big crowd for that. No, fantastic. Great idea, Aldon. I will persist with my attempts to link up with TikTok. We got various options now, but this, for me, this was good. This was fine. This works. But I got to go. Early morning for me, as
Loved
always.
it.
So
If
I am out of
anyone,
here. Hold
if anyone
on.
gets hold of Noble, if anyone
Good.
gets hold of Noble, get her to email me and I'll go on her live whenever she's producing that one. Yeah, I mean, been great, and I think I'll call it a night if everyone's happy. Good night, everybody.
Right.
And
Good night, Aldon. Good night,
love
everyone.
you all.
Gotta go.
Love you, hate you. Love you, hate you. Love you, hate you. Love you, hate you. Thank you. Cheers all.